What is up, everybody? Welcome to ToothAndTailTV, the show where you submit replays and we cast them. I am Delthius. I'm doing a solo bolo stream tonight. How's it going, everybody? What is up? Somebody in the chat asked if I deleted a VOD. No, Twitch will automatically delete VODs, but if you look underneath the Twitch profile page, there's a link to the YouTube channel. I've been trying to get all the historic TnTTV content up there. So most of it should be there. A couple episodes are still missing. Man, we got fantastic submissions this time around. I was really hyped for that, so I'm going to go as long as I can, guys. I got 20 on the docket tonight. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it to all 20, but I will do my best. I'll go until I am exhausted and cannot cast anymore, so we will see. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, man. Big shout out to Cyborg for kicking off his new Wednesday Tips and Tricks series. Super cool, man. Really glad to see that. Been trying to expand the TnTTV family a little bit and just kind of officially got Cyborg in here as part of the crew, so I'm hyped about that, man. I think he's planning on trying to do that regularly, at least as often as he can, so we're hoping to start getting Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night content pretty regularly here for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed his show last night. The last one is, yeah, there's a couple long ones in here for sure, but if they are long, I'll just fast forward through the dull parts of them. Let's see. What else was I going to say? Yeah, there's a tournament this weekend, guys. A free-for-all tournament. Jade Erickson's Viashal Kaiwanez tournament. January 6th, 12 p.m. EST. The Google Doc is in my Tooth and Tails events section. So sign up for that, guys. Check it out. I think it's going to be on Jed Erickson's stream. I got to see if he needs help. I kind of have some other plans I might get roped into on Saturday. Excuse me. So, all right. Ooh, we got a lot to get through tonight. Oh, and one other thing I want to note, guys, if you have submitted to me recently, if you submit, so how this works is I normally do just 12 replays a night, right? And I try my best to hit as many different submitters as possible. So, by all means, submit me, your favorite 5, 6, 7, 8 replays. I don't care, but you might want to say in the email which one you would prefer to be shown. Because if I do get a whole lot of different submitters to choose from, I'm just going to pick one of them basically at random to throw on the show. So it kind of depends on the amount of submissions I get, right? Like if it's a slow week, you might see a bunch of the same guy over and over, whoever was nice enough to submit. Or if it's a week where we got a lot of submitters, like this time around, basically every game should be unique people, or at least the submitter was, so... Yeah, the you suck meme, man. I saw that going strong, dude. I didn't get a chance to watch the VOD because I was at band practice. I mean, watch it live because I was at band practice, but I watched the VOD and the chat was cracking me up, man. That's good stuff, but... Okay, guys, no more procrastinating. We got a lot of work to do here tonight, and we're going to start it off strong with some Frog vs. Print F. Let's take a sip of my drink. Let me know how the levels are. They should all be good, but... Without further ado, let's get into this. Okay. Spawning in the 12 o'clock position, we've got Print F. And his opponent in the 6 o'clock, Frog. Now, Frog's got the moles, but he did queue up a 5th farm, which normally indicates that they're not going to go for mole aggression, but there still is the opportunity to, once you scout your opponent, perhaps sell that 5th farm, come up, and then rush with, about 120 food, 2 moles worth of supply, so... Don't think that... Nope, it looks like that is indeed what Frog's going to go for. He'll probably have enough money when he gets over there to afford 3 moles. And this is going to be a very important scout from Print F. He's going to have to figure out what's coming his way. Once he only sees the 4 farms, that should be a big indication. He gets a full scout here. So we'll have to see how he responds. Meanwhile, the moles are on the way. Print F does have machine gun turrets, which are a pretty good response. He places one in a fairly decent spot, protecting most of the moles here, but the commander for Frog goes down. And that is bad news for him. But these moles still end up getting a lot of work done. Managed to kill 2 pigs and retreat out of there. So I guess I guess good bull rush anyways. But yeah, man, that oh my god, dude, that was pretty good. Like, it still ended up killing the pigs, man. No big deal. That was what he was actually going for there was he was tanking damage with the commander, right? It was like a feign move, like, oh, my commander dies, this possibly isn't gonna work, right? And then all of a sudden 2 pigs still go down. So that's gonna put Frog in a decent spot. He needs to wait for these moles to heal up all the way, which should be here shortly, and then he can sell them off for full price. He goes ahead and does that. I'd imagine he's gonna follow up with some tier 1 warrens, get the rest of his farms, and play the game from a nice lead here. I mean, he's basically 120 food up, and you can see that pretty well reflected at this point. So as this game progresses, we're going to have to see what Frog wants to do with the advantage that he's gotten. He can continue to build tier 1 and try to go for an all-in play. He can take an expansion. He can try to tech up to some of his tier 2. I mean, it's really... He can really do whatever he wants at this point. It's really no wrong answers here. I mean, what a lot of players will opt to do in the super high level is go for a follow-up attack, you know, knowing, okay, I've got 120 food advantage over my opponent, which is basically 3 squirrels, right? So, but that is a risky play because sometimes the defender's advantage can kind of counteract that 3 squirrel advantage. And the music seems kind of loud to me. I might turn that down a little bit. Boom. Yeah, so far so good. Nothing too crazy. And Print F with the skunks, man. Skunks are very powerful right now, I feel like. You know, a lot of the meta lately has been a ton of tier 1. And Skunk punished that very heavily, so I'm interested to see how this works out for him here. Isn't this technically high? Oh, yeah, both these guys are good players for sure. But, like, it's kind of hard. It's a hard decision to make because that's kind of the concept of tempo, right? Like, when you get a food advantage, you can continue to push that advantage and try to snowball it. But it gets complicated. 9 times out of 10, the more correct, well, I guess the safer answer to having an advantage is doing exactly what Frog is doing here, which is just, you know, take that money and invest it into an economy and just get more ahead. But you'll see a lot of aggressive players like DJ and Chip, you know, once they get that kind of advantage, they'll try to end the game with it. But let's see. I mean, this is going to be a great engagement for these skunks, I feel like. Good target firing onto one skunk, but yeah, all that gas, man, that's a very good choke for skunks to get a ton of work done. And Prince F takes that engagement very handily. And I definitely don't mind these turrets out of Frog, man. You know, 1 turret is okay, but 2 turrets is really powerful, man. And especially against a tier 2 choice like the skunk, who's not going to be able to do anything about the turret. It makes a lot of sense, especially up on that high ground. You know, I also like this decision from Printf to just go ahead and expand himself. You know, try not to fall behind on economy, and try to play this game out into the mid game. We see Frog does have a slight lead, but it's nothing crazy. You know, Printf can come back from this, and Printf, if you actually look at, you know, the supply counts right now, you know, his army supply is better than Frog's because Frog chose to invest more heavily into his economy and chose to get those turrets up. So, kind of even here. It's going to be hard for Printf to attack into this front, and this position is actually phenomenal for Frog here because he's got this third base that these 2 turrets also defend rather nicely. So he's got a lot of opportunity for economic expansion to just grow and grow and grow here, and it's really difficult for Printf regardless of how you slice this map, man. And I think he did the right thing by really muscling for this position over here on the right side of the map, you know, securing the space, because, I mean, really, look at his 2 options. He can either go over here or over here, and it's incredibly spread out. You know, he's going to have these 3 bases in this enormous triangle when you compare that to Frog's nice and neat little 3 bases over here. So he's definitely going to have to keep this containment. It's not really a containment because Frog isn't being pressured but it's like a soft contain, right? Like the way PrintF has positioned his army, Frog's not going to be able to move out on the map without PrintF knowing about it. And here comes the ferrets, man. And I've been playing a lot of ladder lately. I use ferrets. I've been going up against a lot of people who use ferrets. Such a fun unit, you know, really fun to micro. You can get a ton of value out of them. So always cool to see this ferret micro play. And the snakes, you don't see the snakes super often, but the snakes do really well against tier 2 units. So all these falcons, if they get a tag or two, you know, maybe one tag from a snake and a shot or two from a squirrel should be enough to take down a falcon, I'd imagine. And but now we've got some juggling Santa ferret harassment just coming back and forth a little bit. And Frog is winning in the third base race here. And really going hard on that saturation, man. He's not messing around. And it's going to be rough for PrintF to even poke into those turrets because they're on the high ground and he has no air. So he's got nothing that's going to grant him high ground vision besides just running his commander up there. So man, 18 farms out of Frog. And just going for this very powerful, you know, squirrel front line, ferrets to poke, 8 falcons on the back line for the DPS. And I have heard a lot of people asking lately about, you know, don't squirrels and falcons kind of on paper have similar DPS? You know, well, the two reasons that falcons are so good, one of them is the burst damage that they do up front. Like, look at that, they just machine gun down that ferret very quickly. But the second thing is that since they're a flying unit, they can stack on top with the same tiles, right? So you can essentially have 2 units occupying the same tile, which will give your concave overall more DPS. So that's why falcons are such a good roundabout addition to an army. But PrintF here with a really unique composition in the meta lately. A lot of skunks and a lot of snakes. Really, you know, trying to think about this build logically. Like, I'll have the snakes to punish the tier 2, I'll have the skunks to punish the tier 1, but here we go, the falcons coming in, doing a lot of damage up front, but the skunk clouds are going down, and it looks like PrintF should be able to take this fight. He had a very good concave. The ferret's still alive from Frog in the back, getting some damage done, but PrintF definitely does indeed win that engagement. He's got to be careful not to overcommit here, and this might be difficult. If Frog can maintain this position, PrintF's rallying army is split here, so he's kind of fighting, you know, 2 half armies, which given Frog a lot of positioning here to come in and just kind of, you know, take both these armies one at a time, essentially. I mean, just those reinforcing squirrels, man, coming in like lemmings one by one, it's really painful. And there's not a whole lot PrintF really could have done about that since his warrens are in different places, you know. Like, he would have had to commit to having all of his warrens basically at his main base to prevent something like that from happening. And that's where it's really difficult when you have these split map or split base positions like this, you know, when you're re-rallying that follow-up army. But Frog's got the momentum here. Will it all come down to that campfire? Oh yeah, right in the middle, that campfire no man land, dude. Man. And you know, Frog is just taking it easy, just regrouping, but this is allowing PrintF to regroup as well. And during the chaos, PrintF was able to come over here, saturate his third base. So his economy's kicking fairly well at this point. And you know, his second base still has a few more farms on it than Frog's does, because Frog took his second base so much faster. So now, yeah, that's the worst feeling, man. Like, especially when I'm trying to micro my ferrets and they'll waste their shot on the commander. You really got to like hold that unit group down until you see that white silhouette around a unit, indicating that it's being targeted. And another thing that's rough here too is when you engage into fights like this, you got to be careful to not let your falcons come up front. You know, the falcons are pretty squishy, but in the end, I mean, Frog won the last couple fights pretty handily, and he's got enough momentum here to really take it to his opponent. And I don't really see what PrintF can do from this point. He does have another mining base, but all these warrens are going to go down. The third base is basically going to have to be sacrificed at this point. I'd like to see Printf maybe even just sell off this last Snake Warren here and kind of concede, you know, it's going to go down and save a little money. But he's a little bit at the end, but... Alright, I'm gonna go ×2. See what Printf can do about this, or a Frog is gonna come roll him over. Alright, here we go, guys. Engagement coming in. One skunk there, nice toaded connection, you know, taking out that skunk pretty quickly. A little bit of his gas cloud still in effect, but again, I mean, Frog should have a pretty comfortable army lead at this point. He's won a lot of good engagements, and he's just keeping it up. And this is where you gotta be careful, though, man. The rally for Frog is farther away than it is for Printf, so he's gotta be careful to not just kind of lose units here, you know, little by little, and he does just that. He pulls back, regroups, and should be gearing up for another strike here soon, but both these guys kind of brought back to the Stone Age a little bit. I mean, Printf has no more Tier 2 left, and it's very difficult to afford these heavy armies. I'm surprised all 4 of those Falcon Warrens are making. They certainly won't be anymore. Frog desperately trying to keep this last ferret alive, but it does go down. One more in the back comes up, but now the Falcon reinforcements have come in. And yeah, a few of them go down without proper squirrel support, but again, it's still just enough to deal with what Printf has here. Now Frog is going to try to do the killing blow on this expansion. He is now starving, and he actually doesn't have a starvation farm to take, so... Both players forced into starving, although Frog should probably win this engagement. Oh man, it looks like Printf is barely going to have enough. You know, Frog YOLO'd onto that base pretty hard, and yeah, I think Premium is right, man. It might come down to this campfire here. He's going to have to sell off a couple things and try to grab that. And sure enough, he does, but unfortunately for Printf, that seems to be the only campfire on the map, but Printf can come in here and deny it, and Frog is not ready for this. But Printf does not have the 60 food to take this campfire himself. And with those Warrens tanking a little bit of damage, Frog might have enough. Oh my god, this game is so clutch, man. Yeah, it looks like Frog is going to be barely able to hold and take the win. Yeah, great replay. Okay. What we got next here? Excuse me, guys. I need to get a cough button hotkey. Okay. We've got Pillow 8 versus Boofy coming up next. Hang on, let me get this cough out of the way. Ooh, sorry about that, man. They might be catching a little bit of a cold. Okay, I think we're good now. Let's hop into game number 2 here. Pillow 8 versus Boofy. Okay. Spawning in the 7 o'clock position, we've got Pillow 8 with the artillery. Very nice. And in the 1 o'clock, we've got his opponent, Boofy. Pillow 8 just opting for only Squirrel here, and you gotta take some cuts somewhere in your build, and Ferret Falcon seems pretty strong, so does Falcon Chameleon, so I understand both those combinations, and I think Pillow 8's game plan here is relatively clear. He's gonna wanna, you know, kind of cut the map favorably for him and try to get up a few owls and go into that late game, but his opponent Boofy also has the owls here, and Pillow is gonna scout Boofy with a very greedy opening. Let's see if he decides to react to that, and doesn't look, yeah, he does the safe thing. I often do this too, especially when I'm not running lizards. If I see my opponents going greedy, I'm like, that's fine, I'll just sell off my safe warrant and I'll go greedy myself, no big deal. It seems like Boofy might be a little scared, so he decides to build a turret. But it's kind of funny that both these players opted for the owl here, and this map is not very owl favored, right? I mean, both players do have access to a pocket base, which is good for them, and then there's these two Gristmills in the middle they can kind of fight over. Might be easier for Pillow Weight to get to those than Boofy, especially with this water. I mean, Boofy does have an entrance this way, but Pillow Weight's got a nicer entrance that kind of makes more sense with his base. So these gristmills seem to be favored for him. I actually did not even notice this 9 o'clock gristmill, but Boofy helped me out there and pointed it out to me by taking it very early. This isn't always... It's a tough decision to make, man, because, obviously Boofy has this really easy base, but it's definitely a good idea sometimes to take that riskier base early on and save the easy base for later. When the game gets more scrappy and people are going to be trying to contest the gristmills more, you've got that nice and easy base in the back to take, so I don't mind that decision. But I really love Pillow 8's build, to be honest. If I'm being critical, I feel like Boofy's expansion was a little too early. He does have the lizards here, which could be helping him out against the squirrel balls, but it's going to be rough for Boofy to defend once this ferret comes out, because they're going to be basically kind of even number of tier 1, but Boofy's invested a lot of money into this expansion, so if Pillow 8 decides to come out here and try to punish him for that, he should be able to do it very successfully. Since his army value is much higher at this point, so kind of cool dichotomy. Boofy has kind of taken the passive role in this game, where his strategy here is just to kind of hang on. If Boofy can hold off this big attack that's going to come out of Pillow 8, he's going to be in fantastic position. Now, Pillow 8 does have a campfire, so that only means that Boofy has invested 180 food more than he has in economy, but that's still a big deal when we're in these early game numbers. And this ferret poke is going to come out, and I love the ferret-falcon combination because it can be very hard to fit the pigeons into your deck, but you need something to grant you that high ground vision, and falcons do that for you very nicely. And Boofy taking a fantastic engagement here, and actually coming out on top, I think. So he's not in terrible shape. I mean, the thing about ferrets is that they don't help a ton in a direct engagement. They still certainly do, but with ferrets, you really want to just kind of do what Pillow 8's doing right now. Just kind of poke back and forth. Like, I always love throwing a couple turrets right on the edge of my territory so I can kind of poke up and then run back and retreat to the turrets and kind of rinse and repeat. Tries to snipe these off with his ferrets, but ends up losing them. Trades 2 falcons for just 1 ferret here, and Pillow 8 knows that's a good opportunity to come in and get some damage done. And he's got a lot of momentum here. I don't think he's got to worry too much about the defender's advantage. I mean, he took that fight very handily, and he's going to continue to press upwards and do a lot of damage here to Boofy structures. Four owls on 1 base before. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty insane, man. I mean, what is that? Each farm is 300 food, right? So 2,400 food total. Oh god, you're not supposed to math on stream. So 1,440 of that would have had to go into owls, I believe, to get 4 owls. This was always a good move that Pillow 8 did here as well, guys. He pushed in, but you got to know when to go back, and kind of regroup. Go back to your territory, heal up. He does just that, and then he presses this again, and that's going to be enough to make Boofy tap out here. Okay. 2 down, 18 to go. Woo! Can we do it, guys? Yeah, great game out of Pillow 8 there. I think it really showcased the risk involved in taking an early expansion, and I was surprised because Boofy did get a really good engagement that kind of evened it out for him. But I think the big mistake there was when he lost the falcons trying to chase down those ferrets. But let's hop into game number 3 here. We've got Leander versus Base God. Spawning in the 6 o'clock position, we've got Leander. And in the 2 o'clock, his opponent, Base God. This Badger play has become very popular lately on the ladder, man. You can, like, if you get the right spawn, you can go for a tier 3 rush with a couple turrets. And typically there's two options for that. You know, the Fox route and the Badger route. I prefer the Fox. I kind of always play with Fox, regardless if they're good or bad in the meta, just because I love that unit. But the Badger, man, the early Badger rush is very difficult to deal with, especially with the pigeons. Now, the critique with this is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if in the chat you guys might want to comment, but I feel like if you're going to take the Badger, you might as well take the pigeons because they synergize so well with each other, and you can use a turret or two. Not quite this early, but this turret is just to deal with this quick campfire Leander tried to take down, and he actually did not get back in time to cancel it, so that's going to be a big deal, man. That's 60 food that Leander just lost for free there. Really just slowing down Base God's 7th and 8th farms a little bit. So it's going to put Leander in a deficit. He can come back. The game's not over or anything like that. But it's going to be rough for him now. Now Base God should be feeling comfortable. I mean, he can just kind of sit back, macro up. He's going to take that campfire himself. Lots of gristmills on this map, man. A little bit favored towards Leander. As I kind of mentioned, you know, not having that second base that's pretty close to you kind of hurts. I mean, Base God's best opportunity to expand is going to be this base over here in the 11 o'clock, but that's going to be very harassable by Leander, especially with the squirrels, you know, coming up on the sledge here, if we ever get to that phase in the game. And again, I like this choice of an expansion. If I'm being hypercritical, I feel like the expansion was a bit early. But going unpunished, you know, it could be fine. And Base God actually has not scouted this expansion from his opponent yet. So it's gonna be rough for him. I wonder if he's saving up his money for the Badger, or if he just you know, kind of let his money float a little bit. Let's see. Okay, he decides to go for the snake in the meantime. I'd like to see a couple more tier 1s. Yeah, there we go. And Leander's not in a bad spot here. You know, if he can hang on, this is kind of a similar situation we saw in the last game, I believe, with Boofy and Pillow 8, right? Where Leander's kind of in Boofy's shoes here. You know, he took that early expansion, and Base God's really got to punish it. And I think that might have been the first time Base God saw it. Now, Base God does have a couple campfires up to his name. You know, one's already built, it's been there for a while. The second one's about to finish. So he's not going to be terribly behind in economy, but the burden is on Base God here. I mean, basically every gristmill on this map belongs to Leander, or is easy for Leander to contest. So Base God's really got to think of a plan and muster up an army and execute here. It's going to be difficult. Now, Leander is investing a lot into this economy, so perhaps this attack will work. That might have been a good window because Leander's units, or his tier 2, were still being made, but Base God backs off for now. And I don't mind this, actually. He's trying to get to a position where he's not attacking up onto the high ground. The engagement happens. I believe Base God should win this very handily, and sure enough he does. And this is going to give him the momentum to come in here and start harassing this second base. And as we've seen in kind of both these games here, man, you know, trying to take a second base at that 2-minute mark is really greedy. It can be done, but you're going to need turrets, you know. You're going to have to be defending it very well. Leander shouldn't have had his army out in the field. He should have kind of been bunkered down in his pig line. Because you kind of have to recognize that as a fact. Like, I'm a macro player too, for the most part, so if I am going to go for a fast base, you really got to recognize the fact that your opponent's going to have a stronger army than you. And you don't want to just kind of run and meet them in the field. You want to try to stay in your structures and have them help you out, tank some damage. And Base God got a little greedy there and overextended trying to get that last snake, but backs out before he takes too much damage. And he did some crippling damage to his opponent here. He killed a lot of farms. They're all back on their way, but that's a lot of food that Leander's had to invest in here, and you can see 18 tier 1 to 6, man, and that's no joke. So yeah, if I'm base god here, it's difficult, man. It's at the 520 mark, so the first 4 mining farms have gone out. These campfires are still running strong, so base god is on a 6 base economy, or 6 farm economy rather, but Leander's economy is double that, so this window is closing. And I think that's the mistake here. Base god certainly can still win, but he kind of didn't take as much advantage of the tempo that he had as he could have. I really feel like when Leander went to retake all 8 of those farms, he had an opportunity to get in there and deny those farms and do crippling damage. But we'll see. I mean, he still has a functioning economy and has been able to muster up a very powerful army. Goes for this kind of snipe attack, which now he's really committed here. His units are a little bit in a convex, but now he's starting to get more of a concave situation. He come in here and just mulls over Leander's army. Great game. Yeah, see, I like that kind of play a lot too, man. Base God really didn't have any good options for an expansion, so he really developed and executed a 1 base strategy there and was able to pull it off. So, hey, Miss Liquor, thanks for the raid, man. I appreciate it. What is up, everybody? We are just doing an extra long TnTTV show tonight, man. I got so many freaking submissions over the past few days. I just thought I'd say thank you to everybody for submitting so much, man, and try to get to everybody tonight. Again, I'd like to reiterate, great job to Cyborg last night with his new show. I saw a lot of you guys tuned into that, so give him a big internet round of applause, man. Super cool to see that. I'm really excited to get more regular TnTTV content out there, and Cyborg stepping up and helping out with that is super cool. We got the tournament, we got the free-for-all tournament Jed Erickson has put together. That is coming up this Saturday. And yeah, don't forget about the YouTube channel, guys. Now, I don't delete the videos here, but Twitch only has like X amount of space or something I get for my past broadcasts. So they do eventually get deleted, but I'm trying my best to get all the archive videos up onto YouTube as quick as I can. So don't forget to check out that YouTube channel, man. We got a couple tournaments on there too. The Festive Face-Off tournament, I just put that one up the other day. That was a lot of fun, man. Me and AV Ultima casted that one, so. Hey, Delthius, are you the same guy named Delthius on Discord? I am. What is up? What's the phone? I think I might have been submitting my replay to some random guy. The best way to submit replays is through my Gmail account, ToothAndTailTV@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Discord. But I'd really prefer it if you went through that avenue. Makes it easier for me, and I won't forget it on accident or anything, because it's just kind of part of my show prep ritual. I go to my Gmail, I download all the files, I rename them, I kind of go through them, try to find as many unique submitters as I can, etc., etc. So, all right, let's keep going, though, guys. We got a lot to get through tonight, so let's hop into this 2v2 game. Sledge and the Red Dinosaur. Let's go. Okay, so in the red and blue, on the right side of the map, we've got Sledge and the Red Dinosaur. Against their opponents in the green and yellow, Travman and Sticky Stew. Man, what a... I don't even know what to make of this map, dude. Look at this thing. It's a monster. Alright, so green and yellow have a nice pocket base, right? Red and blue have a nice natural base. A little bit of high ground outside of it, but no big deal. I feel like both players can, I kind of envision this map splitting, green and yellow probably take all these ones on the edge over here. These 3 gristmills, they should be able to get fairly easily. Meanwhile, red and blue, gonna have to muscle a little bit harder, to be honest, and try to claim this middle of the map. These 3 gristmills in the middle are gonna be rough. Red and blue at the very least need to take these 2 gristmills kind of to the left of their main bases. But these other 3 here are really going to be what determines the game. Really, actually, if you look at it, no, this is perfect. Okay, so you see kind of like right down the middle of the map. Hang on, I got my cursor here. Yeah, this line of 4 gristmills, man, if we get to a late game situation, if these guys don't just bop each other in their early game, it's really going to come down to that. Lots of turrets coming out in the early game. People trying to play safe, but Sledge coming in with a 4-farm double warren lizard attack. Going to be able to roll over that turret, take out a farm, and get out of there. Overall, what, he trade 4 lizards for a turret and a pig, so I'll take that trade any day of the week. Nice attack by Sledge there. And, you know, I'm kind of worried about Red and Blue's economy here. Red Dinosaur is going right up to the ferret. Still needs to take that last base. You really want to get up to these 8 farms. You know, Sticky Stew is kind of sitting back here as the hope of his team, essentially. You know, he's got 8 farms already. He's been left alone. He's floating a little bit of money, but he's got a lot of income here, and he can make an investment and do something strong. But this is actually a really good synergized attack out of Sledge and the Red Dinosaur. I like it a lot with the lizards, you know, on the front line from Sledge, and the ferrets a poke and prod in the back, but, you know, maybe a little too bold here, and it's going to get cleaned up fairly effectively. And Sticky Stew is not messing around, man. It looks like he wants to throw an artillery out already, which is pretty hardcore, man. I mean, an artillery off one base, is this actually going to stay alive? Wow. Oh, man, does the ferret live? Oh, dude, Yellow is triggered. He wants to get that ferret. He gets baited into a fight, but it was a good fight anyways, and Ferret stays alive at 1 HP. So yeah, Sticky Stew does manage to get one of these contestable bases out here, which is nice because it saves them this 9 o'clock base. And, you know, Red and Blue can make this map work for them very effectively, but they're gonna have to be really active on the map. They're gonna be active on the field and muscle for position, and Ferrets are fantastic at doing that job. I'm going to go ahead and knock down that gristmill basically for free. And we're at the 3:15 mark here, so expansions aren't the biggest deal in the world. Looks like Sledge might have forgot that last farm. Take the last farm, bro. That's alright. Yellow trying to come in with a lizard run by, but it's very difficult to do any kind of 1v2 engagement. You know, he's hoping he could maybe catch his opponents off guard, but Red and Blue were in position. And Blue taking this southern expansion base just to be sneaky and try to encroach on the territory of their opponents, and they're just going to keep coming in here with relentless aggression. Sticky Stew not in position to help his teammate out, and it looks like that's going to be it for Trav, man. Getting knocked out of the game, putting Green into a 1v2 situation, which he should not be able to do much about here. I mean, I think at this point, that's going to be all she wrote. These ferrets are raining down presents from hell here, man. They got this wonderful high ground to abuse and staying nice and out of the range of that drumfire cannon. So I do have a ton of replays to get to tonight, and this game is basically over. We're going to time-stew it. Watch Red and Blue dominate their opponent. Here we go with the lizard run by, targeting the gristmill eventually. There he goes. You should absolutely take that 8th farm in the chat, guys. Now, there is a concept called a starvation farm, where when you get into these late game split map situations, you might want to keep a farm or two to kind of stretch out how long you can prevent yourself from starving. However, that doesn't really apply to the first base, because having that 8 farm early economy is very, very important. Now, there are builds, very aggressive builds, you know, multiple warren attack builds, where you don't want to necessarily go right up to 8 farms, but I think it's definitely good practice to get to those 8 farms relatively quickly. So I will be back in just a second. I'm not even going to put up the break screen. I'm just going to get more of a drink. So it'll take me like 20 seconds, guys. Okay, I'm back. Told you that wouldn't take very long. Ugh. Okay, guys. In a replay, a bug appeared? Interesting. Oh, in this replay. Okay. Well, why'd you submit a buggy replay, man? I'm just messing with you. Let's go into it, man. Digzano. Game number 5 here. If it does glitch out, we'll deal with it. But let's see how it works. Okay, spawning in the 6 o'clock position, we've got Digzano. And in the 10 o'clock, we've got Magic. Yeah, Magic going for that Badger build again, but again, I mean, if you are going to run a Badger build, guys, I highly recommend figuring out a way to fit in the Pigeon. Like, I think with a tier 3, unless you just don't have any plans to do, oh, interesting, Digzano trying to go for some, like, cheeky mine stuff here, but the pigs are enough to take those out before they land. He did get a mine up somewhere. Where is that sneaky mine? I don't know. It says he's got a mine. Where's your mine at, man? I don't see it. Maybe I'm blind. But yeah, so like with the Badger, I'd really recommend going like Badger Pigeon Turret at the very least, unless you don't. Now you don't have to take the turret, but if you have any if you want that wiggle room to be able to go for like a fast Badger play, then you need the turret, because as Cyborg and Mishi were kind of talking about last night, man, I've been doing that build for a while now, but like an 8 farm, 2 tier 1 Warren into a tier 3 with a couple turrets, it's very difficult to break, and you can't do it in any spawn situation. You can only do it in selective ones, like where you only have one entrance to your base, kind of like Magic has here. You know, you can put these turrets up, you know, kind of right here where my mouse is, and that would defend any way that his opponent would try to come in here, and you can get that quick Badger out if you wanted to. But instead, opting for a very, very quick expansion here at the 130 mark, basically. So that is really greedy. He might be a newer player. He's doing well spending his money if he is, but you got to be careful, man. That's 180 food in so early in the game. Like, food in any RTS game, like, money matters a ton right at the beginning, right? But as the game goes on, it matters less and less. That's why you'll hear me talk about things like, you know, sometimes when you're at a disadvantage, the best thing you can do is try to drag the game on longer, right? Because, you know, 100 food matters a lot right now, but as our armies get up to being, you know, higher and higher value amounts, that 100 food's going to make less and less of a difference percentage-wise. So not a bad response from Digzano. You know, you don't have to go all in. When you see your opponent do something like take a quick gristmill, you can always respond to greed with greed, and that looks like what Digzano wants to do. He's got a campfire out already. Ooh, a couple good mine hits here. Oh, another one. Very nice. Doesn't quite get all the squirrels, but gets a couple and weakens up a few more. Kind of buying some time with this campfire. You know, you can let it tank for a little bit. It's got a lot of HP, but I wouldn't, if I was Digzano, just give it up for free, man. He's got 6 lizards, but it does go down, and that's going to be a pretty big deal for Magic. I mean, Magic's in a good spot this game. He's got a ton of money here, you know, which could very quickly become army once he spends his food, or he looks like he's going to opt to go for a crazy amount of farms, man. Just going hardcore on the economy. Now, if Digzano doesn't punish this relatively soon, it's going to be a big deal. Like, there's this kind of like this fine line. Like, right now, this is an enormous risk, taking so many farms. But eventually, it's going to transition from risk to reward. So Digzano's really got to get in there during that transition period before it becomes a reward and punish it. And good play from Magic here as well. Coming in here and taking that campfire. That's going to do a lot of things for him. Not only is that going to generate extra money, but it's going to give him territory and vision. And the territory is very important, especially on a front line, because, you know, if I was Magic in this situation, I would throw a couple turrets down, like right on this corner, and I would begin like a contain of my opponent here. And Digzano did not take these last couple farms, so a little critical there. But he's got some over here going on, but floating quite a bit of money. And if you're in a situation, guys, one of the biggest tips, and I'm sure Cyborg will go over this a lot as well. Interestingly enough, Digzano did sell a bunch of stuff, which is probably why he was floating so much money for a minute there. He sold all his tier 1 to go into this crazy 6 Falcon Butter combination, which, you know, might be crazy enough to work. Two butters nonetheless. So, the strategy here being Uncle Butters is going to tank on the front line, do a lot of that AoE damage, and the Falcons are going to be that consistent, hyper DPS from the back line. Interesting. I'd like to see how this plays out. What's up with the crazy hyperlink in chat, guys? We need to get the mods to do something. I trust you guys. I'm sure it's no big deal, but it's just crazy looking. It's like a bunch of gibberish. All right. Magic is in a great spot. He's got this bread and butter composition. He's floating a little bit of money, but he's on 20 farms, man. So it can be hard to spend your food, but if you are a new player, man, the best thing, above all else, that you can possibly do is just spend all your money, man. Like, that's what StarCraft really comes down to. Like, pro-level StarCraft players barely ever have, more than 300 minerals in their bank. And there's a reason for that, man. It's just being efficient and placing everything down as quickly as you can. So if you're in a spot like Magic is here, man, you're not sure exactly what to do, just throw down a bunch of crap, man. Just throw down 30 swirls. Like, just spend that money, dude. Spending the money on the incorrect thing is better than not spending it on the right thing. Did I say that right? I think so. But Digzano is doing a good job keeping his money nice and low, and he is just waiting for this pair of boars to come out and try to rain havoc. Now, Magic didn't go super, super hard on Tier 1, but he is also floating an alarming amount of money here. So I don't want to hark on him too much. He's probably a new player. But I do like this idea out of Magic to just continue this contain. I wonder, he's actually not aware that Digzano has that northern base here. So he's going to have no idea what's about to hit him. And now he scouts it out and sees what's on the way. Let's see if this army composition is going to work for Digzano. Oh, man. Oh, the roast. And the Badger's out. Badger is gonna go down. Oh, man. Oh, that was awesome. That's a cool army composition to see, man. You don't see that every day, dude. And it actually worked fairly well, so Digzano's gonna be able to get the second base of his opponent off that, but Digzano really needs to focus his attention to this third base down there. That's really where the magic is happening for his opponent. His opponent does have a lot of turrets. Oh no! Boar, fire! Is it gonna live? Barely. Well, not really barely, I guess. 43 HP. It's sad when you see a unit at a third HP and you're like, it barely lived. It's got 43 left. Dude, boars are so tanky, man. And Digzano trying to get up to that boar number 3 here. Man, I can't believe that worked. Really cool to see. Really creative army composition coming out of Digzano here. And wow, Digzano is not aware of this third base of his opponent. Yeah, that hurts, man. Especially because Magic is now starting to spend that money he's been banking up into a formidable turret line. Digzano doesn't have anything like a ferret here to deal with those effectively. Lots of turrets coming out here for Magic. It might not be the wrong move here because on paper, Magic is in a fantastic spot. And has been the majority of this game. I mean, look at that income advantage. Magic did do a good job securing bases, being aggressive. He's made an insane amount of turrets here. If I want to be super nitpicky, a lot of these turrets he could sell off now and try to get a bigger army. But that's really his biggest issue here, man, is he could just simply have double the amount of Tier 1 that he has. Or perhaps more Falcons. But let's see, I'm going to go to ×2 here for a minute while these guys are kind of scratching their heads and figuring out what kind of army compositions they want to go for next. Looks like Digzano might be AFK or something. Yeah, this might be the bug he was talking about. He couldn't move, try gamepad using keyboard. Oh no! Digzano! He's just stuck here. Poor quartermaster, reevaluating her life and her choices. Should I have joined Hopper instead of staying with the KSR? Thinking about her. There he goes. He finally got it maybe unplugged and replugged the keyboard back in or something, but Magic hasn't been missing a beat, man. He's gone up to 30 turrets. But Magic doesn't have any kind of starvation farm here. So he is in threat of mining out. So we'll see if that happens. But 7 boars on the way for Dixano. Do a little ×2 action. I'm probably going to do a lot of ×2 tonight, guys, so I can get to all these replays. But, you know, we're not missing a whole lot at this point. You know, Magic's just building more turrets. Dixano's waiting on his boards to get up. And, God, like, I mean, I guess you really don't even have to worry about this stuff if you're Dixano. You just need to come in here and take that out, I suppose. But he's still, I mean, he's got to know because he sees the turrets. But, man, 40 turrets on the map here. That is going to be insane to try to engage into. He's going to, oh, just poking little by little with the boars. The boars actually have a really impressive range on them. Wow. Not really outranging the turret, like the same range of the turret, but the extra splash damage was outranging the other ones, so these boars might be able to do it. Oh my god. 5 boars on the field here, and just a few falcons in the air to back them up. Magic's Badgers are not participating in the fight at the moment. Damn, man. What a crazy game. Magic is now starving, dude. He mined himself out. He did not have that extra starvation farm we were kind of talking about earlier. Magic decides to all in, but Dixano's Uncle Butter army is just holding strong here, man. Dude, look at that. This is like Tooth and Tail art. This is beautiful. Magic with the 34 turrets, but no farms. Might be out of luck here. I like Dixano to sneak last little farm over there. Why not? Let's see. Yeah, there's really nothing Magic can do at this point, man. He forgot to make that starvation farm that Sledge was talking about earlier, which is definitely a good idea. You just don't want to do it on your first base. You want to do it probably on like your third base. That's going to be it. Dixano is going to win the game with some really cool Uncle Butter Falcon army composition play. Okay. How's everybody doing tonight, guys? Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hanging out with me here on Tooth and Tail TV on this wonderful Thursday evening. We are trying to muscle through as many replays as I can tonight as a way for me to say thank you for everybody participating in the show. I really mean it, guys. Like, that's super awesome. It really lets me know that the community enjoys this and wants me to keep doing it. I don't know. I just get so happy like when I load up my email for the replays and there's just a ton in there. It's really cool. So thank you so much, everybody, for contributing so much. And as a way to say thanks, I'm going to get to as many as I can tonight. So without further ado, let's go into game number 6 here. Print F versus Miss Glicker. Alright, spawning in the 6 o'clock position, we've got Print F. And in the 10 o'clock, his opponent, Miss Glicker. Oh, okay, so just a little interesting tidbit. Dixano said he couldn't move in the game, and then he was able to fix that bug with an Alt-Tab. So if you run into the same situation, maybe try that. But yeah, Miss Glicker kind of has this bread and butter Badger composition I've been kind of talking about here, where you do have to make a little bit of sacrifice in the build. Like, if you're going to go for this strategy, you know, Badger Turret Pigeon is basically a must. And Miss Glicker does have all 3 pieces of the Triforce here to do this really aggressive, you know, powerful push with the Badger. Used to be incredibly popular a couple months ago when the pigeons... a lot more pigeons could heal the stack. Now I believe only 9 can stack heal, maybe 8. I believe it's 9. I think it's just all the ones that are on tiles surrounding. But it's still powerful. I mean, a Badger with 9 pigeons healing it, man, is super hardcore. And Miss Glicker does have this base situation where if he wanted to, he could go for a very quick Badger. We kind of saw Cyborg and Mishi go over this last night on the Wednesday night show, so if you want more details about it, check out that VOD, guys. My last video, tips and tricks with Cyborg. Super cool. Yeah, it looks like that's what Miss Glicker wants to go for here. Most likely is that fast Badger rush. If I want to be hypercritical with this build, I believe the best way to do it is get 2 tier 1 Warrens and then your tier 3. You don't actually need a turret this early. You want to put the turret down after you build your tier 3 Warren. And that way you just get the tier 3 out just as quick as you can. And sometimes I'll be really bold with this strategy and I won't even put a turret down until I recognize my opponent's moving out and they want to be aggressive. But really, 2 tier 1 Warrens and 2 turrets, 9 times out of 10, that is enough to hold. Unless your opponent... The big answer that I think is the correct answer to deal with this is... yeah, this is exactly how you do it. Just the order was slightly off, if I'm being super critical on Miss Glicker here. But the answer to this, I feel like, is like Toads and a powerful tier 2. You gotta sniff it out, which sometimes can be difficult because those turrets are gonna make it hard to scout. You know, PrintF doesn't know for sure that that's what's coming his way, but he should be able to understand it with his knowledge of the metagame. You know, if your opponent is turtling up like this on one base, there's really only 2 reasons for that. It's either A, they're just kind of bad and they're a new player, or B, they're going for a tier 3 unit. So, you know, PrintF knows Miss Glicker is a good player, so he should be aware that this should be a tier 3 rush. And not a bad answer, you know, trying to contain his opponent here. Yeah, I feel like one of the best things you could do, like Toads, man, don't underestimate Toads against buildings. They do crit buildings, and it's not the most cost-effective, but if you get up a nice Squirrel Toad ball, what am I, from Boston, but if you get up a nice Squirrel Toad ball, and just like a beefy tier 2, like a Chameleon or a Falcon to back it up, you can do a timing attack and break this before the tier 3 is out. Which is easier said than done. It's not super easy to break something like this, but the Badger is out now. Miss Glicker is going to start trying to rain hell with it. And PrintF is in a hard spot here. You know, it's kind of counterintuitive. You don't really want to just try to target the Badger. You want to kill all of its supporting units. Like, that wasn't terrible for PrintF. He did not get the Badger, but he did kill quite a bit. Now, what PrintF should really try to do here is put his positions in what's called a chameleon trap position. Yeah, like kind of bring him up, but he could actually even, like, in between fights, you put all your chameleons, you know, where the Badger is going to walk by, and then, you know, kind of surprise attack him with it. Oh, this Badger just getting so much value. Good micro here from Miss Glicker. And PrintF is going to have to run away with his tail between his legs. He did manage to sell off his couple tier 2 Warrens and is going to be able to rebuild those back at his main base. But this is a rough position to be in. Very good response from Miss Glicker. Both keeping the pressure on. You know, the Badger can come in there and harass the turrets, just get healed back up by the pigeons, no problem. And expanding on the back of it. Just the big thing with a tier 3 rush is it's very high risk, high reward. Like, if that tier 3 goes down, like if in any of these engagements that Badger died, that would be it. That's game. PrintF would be able to roll over Miss Glicker at that point. So, but I actually like this a lot out of Miss Glicker. You know, he's taking his advantage. He's taking it slow. You know, he's not overcommitting, but he's keeping the pressure on. He took an expansion, but he didn't overcommit to the expansion either. You know, just building just one farm there. Maybe after this engagement, maybe throw down another. In the meantime, PrintF did come over here, take that gristmill himself, which he has to because we're almost at 6 minutes. But these lizards do manage to finally get up on that Badger and take it out. But the question is, did that Badger get enough damage to warrant its existence? Well, at the very least, PrintF will be able to deny this expansion from Miss Glicker, but Lucky for Miss Liquor, he does have this nice pocket base, so he will be able to expand easily, and very smartly sells off that Badger Warren, which is another really critical tip, guys. If you go for a really quick tier 3 and it dies, and you're not out of the game, it did get, you know, some damage done, there's no way you're ever going to afford it again, man. You just got to let it go and sell it, get that 180 food back to spend on other things. But Miss Liquor decides, no, I want another Badger. Which he might be able to get away with. I mean, this pocket base is going to help him a lot, but he's got 0 farms at this point. If Print F can just kind of hang out, saturate up, he's not in the worst spot. You know, the Lizards are a fantastic unit to have to deal with a quick Badger too, as we saw Print F do there. Just with that swift, you know, movement speed, being able to get up on it. And now Print F is going to have to be really hating himself, man. Or not himself, rather, but just be frustrated when he sees that pocket base of his opponent. And Miss Liquor does decide maybe that another Badger's a little too greedy. Sells it off, but it looks like we're starting to stabilize here. I mean, Miss Liquor has a couple turrets, which stopped him from getting just ran over. But Print F does have the better economy. He does have the better army, so he's not in bad shape. And he's got some good tools in his deck if he can start to afford them. You know, Skunks are really strong right now, and so are Owls. And Miss Liquor has been investing a lot of money into these turrets, which isn't a bad idea. You know, I mean, he's got this nice pocket. You know, I always love defense. My rule of thumb with defense, guys, is it's got to do a couple different things. Like, a defensive structure can't just do one thing. These defensive structures are protecting 2 bases here. I mean, that's awesome. That's really what you got to think about. You know, your defense should be, your turret should be muscling, you know, for positioning on the map. Like, if I do an attack, for example, I'm going to take this campfire, right, if I'm Print F, and I'm going to throw turrets down in kind of a front line. You know, that's a good way to use defense, and of course, another good way to use it is very sparingly to protect multiple bases, or to kind of split the map, or, you know, just have a choke point you can fall back on and force your opponent to fight in unfavorably. And I like this out of Print F, you know, deciding I'm not going to just run up there and attack into 4 turrets. I'm just going to try to get more ahead of my opponent here, go up to a 3rd base. But Miss Liquor has been getting cozy over here in his base, man, and decides he's got enough wiggle room to get out 2 Badgers. Now, if you think 1 Badger's hard to deal with, try 2, right? It's a good strategy. We'll have to see if it plays out for him. It looks like he will be able to afford this 2nd Badger basically right when he needs to. A little bit, yeah, it'll be fine. Close enough. And Print F's just getting this bread and butter composition out, but maybe the Owl, maybe this would have been a good opportunity for Print F to get an Owl out, but I don't mind what he's doing. You know, get a healthy amount of tier 2 out first, and then go up to that Owl, right? Tonight is the night of multiple tier 3. Yeah, man, I'm expected to see a lot of tier 3 and a lot of ferrets tonight. We'll have to see, though. Alright, so I'm interested to see how this next engagement will go. Some chameleon traps against these Badgers are going to be ideal here out of Print F. Print F is now aware of this monster army heading his way. Builds a couple last-minute turrets, and the engagement's going to come in. These Lizards' jobs should basically be to try to get on top of the Badgers, but instead, that was a good idea too. You know, just deal with the rest of the army. You know, now it's basically just these Badgers left. I wouldn't be too cocky if I'm Print F. I'd just kind of pull back to my turrets. You know, he's got a better economy, but he's gonna try to get those Badgers, and he's gonna pay for it. You know, Miss Liquor doesn't have a good answer to turrets either. I think that was the blunder from Print F there, to be honest. You know, he took the very beginning of that engagement phenomenally. But he chased after those Badgers a little too hard, which gave Miss Liquor a lot of added value. And Miss Liquor decides to pull the trigger now. Gonna fight underneath those 2 turrets. And again, the majority of the rest of his army getting melted pretty quickly. But those badgers staying alive for now, but now all the pigeons are gone. Oh, it's so close. 5 HP left on one of the badgers, and they managed to get out, and these pigeons are going to be able to just heal them back up in no time. And Prince F wasn't really able to take a lot of advantage of that third base. You know, he only was able to put a couple farms down on, which I don't blame him for. It's really hard to saturate in situations like this when you're constantly under pressure. This might be Prince F's last chance here. He's really got to get on top of these badgers. But those chameleons doing a good job tanking on the front line. And those badgers just doing so much damage and tanking so well. Deletes Prince F's army again. He loses the rest of his army, but he doesn't care. And he's going to take the win. Those Rambo Badgers killing it. Where are we at? Game number 7 here. I think this is a new submission. New submitter, rather. I recognize the name Pez. I see him around in the Discord and the Twitch channels and stuff. But I do not recognize Airborne Falcon here, so... I'm not sure which one of them submitted it, but either way, cool to see new players on the ladder, submitting replays. So let's get into this, guys. Game number 7 here. Okay. Spawning the 11 o'clock position, we've got Pez. And his opponent in the 5 o'clock Airborne Falcon. Obviously running them Falcons, and I'm digging Airborne's deck, man. I actually was running this on stream, I think on Saturday. I always try to experiment with different Fox setups because I just love the hell out of the Fox, and it's a good way to do it. I mean, I feel like if you're gonna take a tier 3 that has a potential for a quick rush, you should take a turret. Actually, Pez's build is the build I've been laddering with lately, so both these builds are very similar. But yeah, Pez's build is what I've been using lately on the ladder. I like it a lot. It gives you a lot of flexibility. You can come in with strong squirrel toad pushes. You can get up a quick... I like to get up a quick ferret, you know, maybe like 12 squirrels, 6 toads backing it up, start poking. You know, I would take like this gristmill if I was Pez, start setting up some turrets here. So there's a lot of flexibility, and then having the Falcon is always nice. It kind of serves 2 roles in the deck. It gives high ground vision for your Fox and for your ferret. And then it's also a really good late game unit. You know, the Fox isn't really a late game unit. The Fox is kind of like a value over time unit. You know, it's not going to be the biggest deal in a direct engagement. You got to sit there and poke and poke and poke all game long to really warrant its existence. So having those Falcons, and it's not like a Badger, right, where the Badger just adds so much punch to your army. The Fox doesn't really do that. So having the Falcons is where you kind of round out if this gets to the late game with this build. Let's see what Pez is going to go for. Yeah, so looks like he is going to go for a fast Fox. No, he goes for the fast Ferret, which makes more sense here. I mean, his base is kind of open. You really only want to do a tier 3 rush when you are fully, you know, kind of islanded off with one nice little choke entrance into your base that you can defend with just a turret or 2. So gets up to the Ferrets. Now, Airborne Falcon is going for the quick Falcons. Now, if these guys kind of clash out in the middle of the map, I would favor the guy with the Falcons in this engagement, but as the Ferret player, you've got to really micro the hell out of those units and be so annoying, man. And it works really well if your opponent doesn't have lizards, because besides the lizards and the Fox and I guess the boar, you know, most of the other units all move at the same speed, so with the Ferret, you could walk this Ferret all the way over, you know, get a couple pop shots in, back up, rinse and repeat, and he should keep his Ferrets alive. But Airborne could counter micro with the Falcon, so there's a lot of possibilities for this game. We're going to have to see how these guys go with it, and I think this is a well-timed expansion out of Airborne Falcon. You know, taking the expansion around 245 is always good. It's still a little risky, but yeah, I think that's perfect, man. Two farms, and then I would just keep building. Like, I would add a couple more Squirrel Warrens up here on the front. He's got to be careful. Don't want to oversaturate that base. But Pez is kind of responding with a gristmill of his own. Getting a couple turrets here or there, I don't mind it. I think the only turret Pez really needs is this front one. I think those back couple turrets probably won't see a lot of play. And that's another thing with Tooth and Tail, you can always sell that stuff off, so we'll have to see. Yeah, you gotta, like, turrets are really good, but you gotta be careful. You don't want to build too many of them. Interesting. Decides to tech switch out of the ferrets into the falcons. Decides I'm not going to be able to get the harassment off this game to warrant their existence, so I'm just going to go straight up to those. And I think Airborne Falcon's build is actually pretty solid. You know, he got up to a reasonable amount of tier 1. I would kind of like to see a couple more toads in there, which he could afford if he was spending all his money. He does want to save up a little bit for his fox, but he's got like a minute still or something. Yeah, there you go. A couple more units. But yeah, no, I really like what Airborne Falcon has done this game. You know, he started off with about 12 squirrels, took an expansion, didn't get too greedy on it, you know, just a couple farms, got out a couple tier 2 units, and now he feels safe enough to rush up to a fox. You know, rush isn't even the right word. This is about the right time to take your tier 3, and then now he's going to go into this mid-game around the 5:30, 6 o'clock mark and have that army composition that he wants. You know, a healthy amount of tier 1, a couple tier 2s to back him up, and the fox as well. And we'll see what Pez decides to do. He's got some money right now. He's really trying to find the optimal turret positioning here for himself. And man, I would put these turrets like all the way up front, dude. Just contest as much as he can. Decides to go for the fox himself, but Airborne Falcon has got a really good fox lead here, so he's going to get his fox out significantly faster, and we'll have to see if he's got some good micro and can get some value with it. Besides, now it's time to pull the trigger, and I love this army composition out of Falcon here, man. I think he's playing it very, very well, very safe. You know, he didn't rush up to anything crazy. He's just got this nice, well-rounded army, but he's lacking the toads. Where if Pez's toads do get some good connections on these tier 1s here, he's going to be in great shape. And this is where, you know, the only critique I have on Falcon is I would have rather seen 2 ferrets, or I mean a ferret and a falcon instead of two falcons, essentially. So he had a unit to break this with. You know, he's going to come in here and poke and prod with his fox as much as he can. But he's going to have to back up for now. And I think that would make sense as his next choice to be going up to a ferret. Let's just see what he decides to go to. And he's just deciding to get more falcons for the time being. Dixano, thanks for... You probably already left, but thanks for watching, man. Yeah, our European viewers, I feel bad for you guys, man. There's a lot of guys in Tooth and Tail in Europe, man. Maybe... You know, I just got Cyborg in TnTTV. I might have to reach out to one of these European guys, and maybe we could start doing a show, have them start doing some kind of show that works for the European time zone. That would be pretty cool. We've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday covered, man. If we could get shows for Monday and Friday, that would be so dope, man. But let's see. I mean, I think about... Okay, so Pez is coming in. He's got his fox now. Let's see what kind of damage he can get done. Ooh, is that a... Ooh! Oh, man. That always feels bad. I guess that fox took just one hit of damage. The foxes won't one-shot each other, but they basically do. I think one shot from a fox will leave the opponent's fox at like 1 HP. So really all you need to kill your opponent's fox is one shot from your fox, and then basically one shot from anything else. And always feels bad, man. when you're fox, but it always feels really good if you're the guy who did it to your opponent. But oh my god, how is that fox still alive? I was gonna say miss micro the fox for Falcon, but he keeps his fox alive anyways. And Pez decides to give the fox another chance, does not sell it, and his fox number 2 is on the way here. And that's really what he's got left, man. He's gonna have to make some magic happen with this fox to stay in this game. The pig softened her up. Yeah, thanks, Psycho Garrison. Yeah, so, as I was saying, you just need one... I think it's literally just one extra damage. So, basically, a shot from anything, and then the fox will kill the other one. So, right now, man, if Pez could get that hit off on Airborne Falcon's fox, since it's only at half HP, it's gonna be donezo, so... Yeah, I feel bad going ×2, but We got some long replay submissions tonight. We got a lot of games to get through here. We're kind of just poking and prodding at this point anyways. Falcon deciding maybe I'll try to run around, attack from a different angle, takes a third base, and actually Pez takes the third base right at the same time, but Falcon positions himself fantastically, and Pez is nowhere near. Nice little sneak flank attack coming out of Falcon, and damn, man, just deletes that base immediately. And he's got the superior army here, so Pez is hesitant about engaging in, decides he's got to do it. Manages to get the target fire down. I believe Pez actually did target fire that Fox with his own Fox, so good job there. And man, that is going to let Pez take that fight. Beautiful. That is so hard. That's harder to do than it looks, guys. Target firing with your Fox, so great job by Pez. Knocking out that Fox of his opponent. It's going to keep him alive for now. Because you got to be careful. Like, the Fox isn't going to target high value stuff. It's just going to target basically whatever's closest to it. So you got to run in there with your commander and manually target it. But when you do that, you leave your Fox open. You know, you can't be target firing with the Fox and microing it to safety at the same time. You got to pick one or the other. Pez did decide to go in there and snipe his Fox and got away with it. And now Pez has the tool he needs to get back into this game. If he could just slowly but surely just sit here and poke and poke and poke with this Fox, he might be able to come back. His economy is in the ruins right now, but luckily for him, he did have a third base. So he didn't just get knocked out or anything like that. He's still alive. And if he can just sit here and get more and more value, really, Falcon shouldn't be hesitating, man. If you're getting poked like this, the best move is to probably hard engage your opponent. You know, because Falcon's going to have to do that eventually. And if he would have hard engaged like a minute ago, you know, he would have had 10 more Tier 1 warrant units. But Pez is just sitting here over and over getting so much value with this Fox. But yeah, that's really the answer. And then the only time that doesn't work, obviously, is when your opponent's ahead and you can't hard engage. But, you know, Falcon did have the better army there for a minute, so he could have got up into his opponent's face. And Falcon, man, I love the Fox too, but he's got to let the dream die and sell that off. I would even sell off a couple of those Falcons as well that he has. This is kind of where the nuance happens in late game TNT. You know, we're at like the 12-minute mark. You know, you don't want to have warrants when your army's in the red like this. You know, that's something I've been trying to figure out exactly lately a lot on the ladder. Like, after a big engagement, man, the priority is to reproduce as many units as fast as you can. So normally what that means is downsizing some of those warrants, right? You know, Falcon would have sold off maybe 2 of those Tier 2 warrants, or hell, even just I would say, like, sell off the Fox warrant and just one of those Tier 2, and he would have been able to build a new army more effectively here. If you ever have armies sitting in the red like this, guys, 9 times out of 10, the correct move to make is to sell off some of your extra warrants. But slowly but surely, the value of this Fox is adding up for Pez. And he's inching his way back into this game, and now Falcon's getting that memo that he needs a hard engage, but it might be a little too late here. You know, Pez did take the economic lead here. And if he can get one of those Falcons, man, that is going to be huge. It looks like that's what Pez was trying to do, trying to get in there and target fire one of those, the Falcon down. Going to be able to get that pig. Oof. Man, I think that's all she wrote for Airborne here. Yeah, man. Oh, just that cha-ching, dude. 60 food when you hit that Falcon. Just feels so good, man. This is just dirty at this point, man. This is not safe for work. Falcon did finally manage to get out a Fox of his own, but I don't know, man. It might be a little too late. We'll have to see. I mean, hell, if he did manage to snipe off Pez's Fox, he could come back here. But I think Airborne Falcon played this game phenomenally. I feel like the big mistake... Oh, wow, he did get one hit on that Fox, so Pez has got to be careful. One more hit from anything on that Fox is going to go down. But still able to get value out of it, even when it's at barely any HP. Yeah, I think Airborne did really well. He's probably a beginner. I could be wrong. I don't mean that by his play. I think he played very strongly up into the mid-game. I think the big mistake Airborne made that round was not selling off his additional warrens there. It's very important, man. I can't stress that enough. Once you hit that mid-game, late game, you have these big deathball armies, and you trade, you're not going to be able to rebuild that. You know, you've been building that army up like all game, right? So there's no way you're going to quickly rebuild it. So yeah, I think he did well, man. I am going to get another drink real quick. I guess I'll put up the break screen, but I'm not going to be gone for very long, guys. So stick around. Give me like a minute or two, and I will be right back. All right, guys, I am back. Got me a nice, delicious ice water here. Oh, man. Woo. Take a little breather for a second. Thanks everybody for tuning in, man. I really appreciate it, and all the replay submissions. You guys make me such a happy nerd, man. I genuinely love seeing just a ton of replays in my inbox, man. Makes me really happy. So I'm glad we got a lot of variety for tonight. I know Chip's game is next and he's watching, so how can I delay this as long as I can just to be mean to him? Big shout out to Cyborg, man. I hope you guys enjoyed his Wednesday night show. That was really cool. He's gonna start doing that regularly. Really excited about that, and he has been harking on me to plug my YouTube more, so guys, check out. I know it's a little counterintuitive, but in the Twitch profile, you can actually click on that banner that says follow us on YouTube. And I've been trying to store all my videos up there. I know I'm terrible. There's no like production value at all. It's just the raw, unedited TnTTV shows, but hey man, it's something. Keep it up there because the Twitch VODs get deleted, so. But alright guys. It is time. Who is Winky Face, man? Does anybody know? Somebody uses that. Is that a pseudonym? Because Winky Face is really good. I played him on the ladder earlier. I think I managed it. I think I beat him, and then he beat me or something. I can't remember. But I see him at a pretty high rank, and we got a submission here. Chip from Space versus Winky Face. I'm going to mess that up over and over. Game number 8 here. So, let's hop into it. Oh. Why did I say Winky Face if it's print F? I don't know. Anyways, I guess I messed up. But in the 7 o'clock position, we've got Chip from Space. And in the 1 o'clock, we've got print F. Yeah, I guess I must have mislabeled it. My bad, guys. Chip running the boar. Gonna show us how it's done here. Take out your notepads, guys. And print F has this really interesting smorgasbord of tier 2 kind of setup going, and Kind of crazy map, man. It's going to be hard, really, for these bases to be taken. You know, I'd imagine Chip is going to be able to take this campfire. You know, he's going to be able to claim basically everything up on this high ground fairly easily. You know, Printf does have this nice pocket. I mean, that is like the definition of a pocket base, man. That is about as good as it can get. And, oh, is it Printf Smurf? Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. Then I didn't mess it up. But normally I just rename the replay based on whatever's in there, so I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyways, so far so good this game. Both players going up to that standard 8 farm, 1 tier 1 Warren opening. We're going to have to see how these guys decide to take the game from here. You know, normally it's pretty popular to see quite a bit of tier 1 come up. You know, even 5 or 6 or 7 Warrens isn't unheard of. But they may be going for a tier 2 rush, and if I'm Printf, I'm thinking that's pretty likely. I mean, he's got so many damn tier 2 with him. I'd imagine he's going to be building one here shortly. And Chip does not have the toads, so it's going to be a little difficult for him to engage into these lizards. But Chip does have both chameleons and boars, which are fantastic against the lizards, so. Natural pocket expand. That is definitely a pocket expand, man. But here we go, Printf coming in with some lizards. The defender's advantage of the squirrels, though. Chip doesn't have a ton of squirrels, so Printf is going to kind of all in here. He's going to lose all his lizards. He manages to kill 2 farms. I mean, it's kind of hard to cut that. This counterattack from Chip, I mean, I would say that was quote-unquote worth it. You know, because of the lost mining time, but this is where it's going to be difficult, and where I would say it might not be worth it is because Chip has a phenomenal opportunity for a counterattack. If you are a new player, he takes that gristmill there just to try to distract some of his opponent's army, but yeah, this is what I was a little worried about, man. The lizards are going to do very well against the squirrels, so Chip's got to be careful without anything like toads, and a little bit greedy. The snake does go down, but it's going to take a falcon with it. And Chip is on an inferior economy. You know, he did not make those farms that went down, so Printf is starting to take some of the momentum back into his favor. He's going to knock down this gristmill, which, you know, Chip doesn't really care about anyways, but it is 60 food additional that Chip is not going to have here. And Printf would like to come up here and poke with the snake, and it's really viable without any swift units from Chip here. So Chip is in a rough spot, for sure. I'm really interested to see how he responds. Hey, thanks for the follow, Drip Gun, man. I really need to trigger my follow alerts again. I don't mind the turret here. We'll have to see what Chip decides to do. We're coming up on the 4-minute mark here, so is he going to try to expand, or is he just going to get up a nice army? Floating a little bit of money right now, deciding on a tier 2 most likely to go for. No, just more squirrels for now. Makes sense, pretty safe. You know, if he can eventually get to the point, you know, squirrels will eventually do good against lizards. For a couple reasons. They find a tile easier than lizards do. You know, units cannot attack until they are on their own tile, right? So lizards, since they have less range, it's going to be more difficult for them all to get in and find a tile to attack from. So they're going to kind of run around a little bit. And then also, since the squirrels do have better range, they can set up a concave more effectively. So when we get into really high numbers, if you know the engagement is correct, squirrels can do well against lizards. It's not guaranteed, you know, it's got to be in the right position, but it's certainly not unheard of. Man, and I get screwed trying to do what Printf does here all the time, man. Like, I'll take this forward gristmill, I'll probably even try to put a couple turrets up here. But if for some reason, you know, this engagement loses, it's really easy for Chip to just come over here and bop this base, where, you know, Printf could easily be putting this money on this back base, and if he lost a big engagement, this back base wouldn't be immediately threatened. So the game could very well come down to something like that. You know, both players trading armies in the middle, Chip getting the better end of it, and then, you know, coming in and punishing the economy because it's right there. But Printf is still in a good spot this game. You know, and I think Chip's doing the right thing. You know, he's just letting the game drag on. Because, like I mentioned earlier, you know, a lead matters less and less the longer the game goes on. So, Printf, that's where the concept of like tempo and momentum come in. Because it's like when you have the lead, you want to press it. You know, you want to compound it, you want to snowball it. Because otherwise, you know, as the game gets later and later and both players have harvested more money, you know, the money difference is less and less. So I'm interested. I think the Chameleons are a good choice. A nice tanky front line. They're going to deal very well with Lizards. And both players have basically fully saturated their bases. I'm not sure if Chip is kind of thinking, okay, this is probably the only base I'm going to get, so I'm going to leave that 8th farm open for a starvation farm, or if he just decided to not take an 8th farm because he wants to invest more in his army. We'll have to see. I think he would take it, yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't think Chip is gonna concede the rest of the map to his opponent. So, I mean, Chip is not out of the question. He can kind of take the space over here for a 3rd, but it's gonna be difficult. These guys are just kind of poking and prodding, man. This is where the game gets really complicated in a way, because this next big engagement is really gonna determine the game. And neither player right now really has to engage. You know, that's another concept I hope Cyborg goes over in his tips and tricks show, is like, you know, yeah, Chip could attack in or Printf could attack in here, but why? You know, they're roughly even, you know. I'm sure there's a little difference. Yeah, Printf does have a better army, but with the defender's advantage involved, you know, why take that chance of getting an unfavorable engagement, you know, when you can just kind of wait and hang out. And now Chip's feels comfortable enough to get the boar on the way, and that boar is going to be critical to his army composition, and that might be his trigger to go. And damn, man, Printf is building so many snakes that actually could be a good response to a tier 3. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, that's basically the perfect response to a tier 3, man. We've been seeing a lot of Badger play lately. People have been scratching their heads how to deal with it. You know, perhaps the snake is the answer, man. You get 6, 7, 8 stacks of poison on a unit. I don't care how much HP it's got, man. That thing's going to go down, so. Good idea out of Printf here to run a bunch of snakes. We're going to have to see if it works for him. The thing about the boar is, regardless, it's going to blow up. It's going to get something done. It's going to tank a lot of damage, so. This is where this like tier 2 smorgasbord army composition kind of hurts, man, because now that we're getting to the late game, we're approaching the 9-minute mark here. You know, he doesn't have that big beefy unit, besides the Falcon, of course, to really round out this army. And the boar is out here for Chip. Looks like Chip is flirting with the idea of doing some kind of sneaky Metal Gear Solid chameleon play, as I call it, but decides not to for now. You know, just fast forward a little bit while these guys are kind of poking and prodding. Yeah, tries to get in there, get a turret, doesn't really work out. No big deal, it doesn't lose anything. The pigeons are out, which is good. Man, maybe I should figure out a way to fit pigeons back into my deck. I love the pigeons, man. I love the concept of the pigeon, man. Just a healing unit. I love high value stuff, man, like ferrets and foxes and pigeons. Well-positioned turrets, man. Yeah, the pigeons are basically going to cancel out a snake stack, but hey, it's still something, you know, for sure. And the pigeons will go down eventually. This is really good play out of Chip here, really abusing these chameleon stealth, you know. Wherever Printf's army isn't, Chip is just going to come in here and just chip out at his opponent, you know, just 60 food here, 60 food there. You know, his micro's good enough to re-stealth his chameleons before they take critical damage. He's got the pigeons to heal him back up, no big deal. Yeah, these armies are getting huge, man. We're getting close to 2,000 food armies. Here we go, the big engagement. I don't even know what's going on here, man. So many units clashing with one another. It looks like Chip is taking the engagement pretty handily, though. The boar did a lot of damage up front. And the snakes didn't quite target it, but yeah, you can see basically pigeons and snake counters counter themselves, you know, precisely. So all those pigeons were healing the boar, but they aren't for now. But the boar is just so much HP, it doesn't really matter, and he's able to heal back up in no time. And Chip definitely takes that. You know, and that boar still being alive is really bad news for Print F, man. That's going to make Chip's follow-up attack very strong. Yeah, and as you can see, you know, Chip's selling off a couple warrens just to keep his production out of the red, but, you know, Chip doesn't have a whole lot left. He's just got that one farm that he kind of delayed taking to prevent himself from starving. So this is it, man. This is the all-in play, as he had no third base really available for him. He goes in. You know, fantastic engagement, and just the power of that tier 3 unit, the healing of the pigeons. I think it's going to be enough to run over Print F here. Print F does pretty well in the fight. You know, a lot of Chip's army goes down, but enough. Oh, and the board did die from the last couple of poison stacks, so the snake's getting their job done. And Chip is now starving. And Chip doesn't have a very, well, actually, yeah, he does. He's got the campfire right there. Duh. So Print F does have the better economy now. He's got an economy, which Chip really doesn't. But Chip still has a formidable army. So really all Print F has to do is hold on and take out that campfire. And that'll be all she wrote for Chip. But Chip is able to muster another wave of attacking forces more quickly than his opponent. And he's going to come in here and trade again. And fantastic, just staying on top of the tempo, you know, constantly punishing his opponent. And that's going to be all she wrote for Print F. Woo. Man. Okay, we got some bonk action coming up next, guys. Let's do it. Okay. Spawning in the 10 o'clock position, we've got General X. And his opponent with a crazy build, we've got Bonk. I love it, man. I love seeing this kind of stuff, dude. It's really, that's what I love about this show, too. You know, like, all kinds of stuff. Like, we get to see some high-level play from guys like Chip and Mishi and all kinds of guys. I mean, a lot of really good players submit here. But then we just get to see guys like Bonk who are like, you know what, man? Let's go Squirrel Owl 4 defense, and let's figure out a way to make it work. Like, I love stuff like this, and let's see what he's going to go for. I mean, General X's build is not super meta. I mean, he's got Squirrel, Toad, Lizard, which I experimented with for a little bit, and it feels nice, you know, having all those options available to you. You know, mines aren't, you know, Andy patches the game a lot. And I honestly feel like the balance is in a pretty good spot right now. We see most units, right? But I don't feel like the mine is the best unit in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it has little niche uses. Like, imagine, you know, a bunch of lizards try to run through this choke point. And there's like 2 or 3 mines right here. You could get a lot of value. But, wait, I think we've seen this one before. Yeah, we've totally seen this one before, haven't we? Yeah, I remember it now. How did I do that? Ah! You know what? You know what, guys? Hang on a second. Hang on a second, guys. How did that happen? Oof. Hey, it's gotta happen sometime. I think that's the first time I've ever done that, so... Oh, you know what? Oh, okay. I know what happened. These games Bonk submitted, I thought were new submissions, but he actually submitted them right before the last show. So that's where I made the mistake. My apologies. I still want to do a Bonk game, though, so I am just loading up a different one. I'll be ready in just a sec. Okay. Okay. Forget about that. That didn't happen. We already saw that game. Here we go. Dill dropping the bonk. Oh, I know, I'm the worst. Okay. Listen, guys. We got some fresh bonk. I know you guys don't want any stale bonk, man. It's got to be fresh. So spawning in the 9 o'clock, we've got the bonker himself. And in the 3 o'clock, his opponent. Don't raise me, bro. And bonk playing a little more traditional this time around. Still going for the Owl Artillery mix. I think that's just kind of what he likes to do. And we see Don't Raise Me, bro, with actually a really standard, solid build. I believe this is what Chip just used last game. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, pretty meta. And this map isn't terrible for either player. I mean, I would give the map to Don't Raise Me, bro, obviously. I mean, if you kind of split it, it seems like more of the gristmills are a little more favored towards him, but Bonk does get this natural base, man, and that's one of the points I try to make a lot about map balance is, you know, yeah, if your opponent gets most of the gristmills, it's not as bad as it looks, as long as you get at least one base that you can take safely, you know, as an expansion. Most of the time you'll be okay. And Bonk does have this nice second base. You know, he's got a campfire. You can take this third as well. It's a little more difficult. And Don't Raise Me, bro, has these nice 3 bases right here for his first 3. And, you know, it's really going to come down to who can take these additional 2. But Bonk coming in with a quick double Squirrel Warren and going to try to get some damage done. He needs to be careful. He does have the squirrel advantage now, but he's just got to poke and prod until all of his squirrels clump up. And the most difficult part about this is the target firing. You got to really be vigilant about target firing the squirrels correctly, as you see Bonk does very nicely here. Because if you do not target fire, those squirrels might just blindly attack Warrens and whatnot. So, not a bad engagement for Bonk here. He takes out a Warren, but he's not on 8 farms yet, so Don't Raise Me, bro. Does have a better economy, so I'd really like to see Bonk take these last couple farms. He takes 1 for now, and it's going straight up to a Falcon, so we'll have to see how that works out for him. Decent turret from Don't Raise Me, bro, here, but I'd like to see him sell it off now, ideally, as that attack is kind of expired and he no longer needs it. Alright. Wow, actually pretty mirror at this point if you look at what these guys are going for. You know, Bonk does have that faster expansion. He took a little longer getting his 8th farm, though, so his economy is still behind his opponent. Kind of times 2 this a little bit. I think it's okay. There's not a whole lot to say right now. Both guys just kind of mustering up here. The only difference is Bonk Code did expand while Don't Raise Me, bro, did not. So he's going to have Bro is going to have a couple extra Falcons to his name. And if you do take that gristmill, I would recommend throwing down at least 1 farm with it. Otherwise, you know, it's kind of just 60 food, not really doing anything. But Bonk's got to be careful here, man. His army is comparable, you know, weaker than his opponent. He can't engage under this turret, and he's dealing with the defender's advantage of his opponent. You know, I don't think this engagement is going to work out for him, and he gets the memo and decides to take it back home, and he's got a little food to spend, so let's see how he does it. Yeah, I'm sorry, he did take 1 farm, so that was a correct play. He's being careful on saturating that second base, which I like to see. Decides to go for the ferret, which makes sense. I think this kind of squirrel ferret falcon is a nice, well-rounded mid-game army composition. You know, I prefer to have toads in there. I think there's mixed opinions on toads lately, but man, I still think toads are really good. So I like it, man. I think Bonk's in good shape. I mean, that last engagement didn't go super well for him, but he does have the expansion, and Don't Raise Me, bro, does not, and he doesn't really need one up until this point, but we're at the 4-minute 30-second mark here, so I would like to see Don't Raise Me, bro, think about an expansion in his near future, and he's going to move out, and he's got a sizable army, but Bonk's army is decent too, so if Don't Raise Me, bro, doesn't attack immediately, Bonk should be fine, you know, as more and more of his forces come out, and he's going to be rough coming through this choke, you know, not in that water right there. That moat should be doing fairly well for Bonk here. And Bonk's going to clean up this push fairly well. It keeps a couple of his tier 2 units live, and should put him in pretty good shape this game. Okay. Yeah, now, alright, so the ferret is pretty similar to the fox, right? Where to really get the most out of it, you gotta be up in their face, you gotta be harassing them nonstop. Like, I like playing with the ferret. You know, what I would do is probably take, like, this campfire and set up a couple turrets up here, and then just kind of poke, and then run back to my turrets, and poke, and run back to my turrets over and over and over again, and work down my opponent that way. Yeah, Don't Raise Me Bro is now taking expansion, but it might be a little too late here. You know, he's only got 3 farm economy now, and Bonk's economy is going really strong. So now, Bonk's just got to take it slow, not run his units into that turret, just poke it down with the ferret. It's only going to take, I think, 4 shots? Yeah. Yeah. And he could even engage here. I mean, he doesn't have to. It's not a bad idea to kind of run back and forth like this, especially with the ferret. You know, kind of just keep poking and prodding. It's hard to tell, man. Like, it's easy to tell when it's us, right? And we can see everything, but you know, you really don't want to take that bad engagement that makes you lose the game, right? So Bonk could have probably won right there, but he backs off for now. No big deal. You know, just get a little bit of bigger army, get a better economy, just get more ahead, and he'll come in now. You know, now he's got the chameleons with him. You know, he's got this nice army composition. He's got a great economy on the back end. So he's going to start sieging the gristmill of his opponent. And Don't Raise Me just got to go all in. But, oh, man, it looks like Bonk caught Don't Raise Me, bro, in a tech switch. He just sold off a lot of his units to try to switch into chameleons to possibly deal with the ferrets. That's going to be it. I always hate when that happens to me, man, when I do a tech switch and then somebody just kind of happens to attack right at the right moment and knock me out like that. Oh, man. Alright, how long can I go? Whew. Really on match number 10, and it's almost 2 hours already. Okay, alright, guys. I'm gonna muscle through the best I can for all you wonderful nerds hanging out with me tonight, so. Always get a premium bonus. Man, I think, like, every TnTTV show I've done lately has had a 2v2 from Premium Bow, so it's almost like a tradition now. And they're always cool, too. So, I'm excited for this one. And let's hop into it. Okay, spawning in the right-hand side, we got Premium Bow and his buddy Furmar. Against their opponent, James Bowring and Lego Man 96. Man, nice layout here for Premium Bow and friends, right? I mean, they both have a nice natural base. Good to go. Meanwhile, red and blue aren't looking too bad either. You know, they've both got expansions here, and they've even got another one to their name. So, let's see. I definitely give these 3 gristmills to red and blue. These 3 to green and yellow. And it's really going to be this last one they got to fight over, which is going to be a little easier for green and yellow to get to. So, overall, not the worst map for 2v2. It is going to be rough to attack into this moat here, this water separating. There's also these couple back bases, but those are really awkward to get to. You got to run around, like, over here and get into them, so we'll see if those come into play. Okay. I hope I didn't miss anything. I do see Furmar is on 4 farm. Double Warren here. Maybe I missed something. It looks like I did. I apologize. Probably a mole or something. James Boatring coming in from the back with 4 lizards. As you get the farm, he does indeed. He's going to lose the 4 lizards, but good trade overall. As long as the counterattack doesn't immediately run over them. Yeah, Dell missing mole action. Random decks from Premium Bow and Furmar, he says. Yeah, man, I always do that, dude. Like, I'll try to analyze the map a little bit too much in the early game. It's just so hard to keep track of, like, all 4 players and see if something's going on sometimes. This attack doing fairly well. They're going to trade basically their whole armies for it, but they end up killing, what, 5 farms in the process, so Not a bad trade indeed. We're gonna hop up a little bit of speed here. Lots of lizard action so far. You know, Lego Man is the only guy who hasn't been able to muster up an army, but he did take significant losses here. And if green and yellow can hop on this turret right now while blue is out of position, that would have been very good for him, but they back out, and they're going to try to find a different angle that's not defended by a turret, and that is so many lizards here. They should be able to do some very crippling damage to their opponents. Again, it looks like they're basically going to trade their lizards out, but this is a good way to trade them, man. Dealing economic damage to your opponent is very huge. It's hard to interpret these graphs with so many players in the game. Hey, thanks for the follow, Wizlock. I appreciate it. Nice defense coming out of Lego Man here, but yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'd like to see these turrets up a little bit, sell these back ones, beautiful. Because now you're starting to protect this base as well, right? So as a rule of thumb with defense, as I've been saying, you know, you always want to make sure your defense serves multiple purposes. And doing that effectively is very important. Now the balloon's going to come down, which is going to make this a very defendable spot, but Premium Bow and Firmar are very good with their lizard play, so this avenue of kind of doing this sweep around attack is still open. You know, maybe if they threw some defense like right here, they could close that out, but you don't want to go too defense crazy before. You got to get a little bit of the icing in there too, man. You got to get a little bit of the economy going to warrant it. Yeah, I'd like to see a few farms come up on an expansion before they invest too much more into defense. Firmar trying to do a runaround attack, but James is in position this time and deflects it. No big deal. Campfire gets taken by Premium, but again, not the biggest deal in the world. Now, we are coming up to the 430 mark here, so all these players really need to be thinking about expansions. And so far, only one player per team has secured a gristmill, and this one isn't quite up for Premium Bow, but I feel like with how much defense blue and red have, they should be able to defend it pretty well because they don't have so much army comp. But these toads, man, they're gonna hurt if they get some good engagements on these lizards. Skunks as well. Yeah, Premium Bow thinking about the runaround, but the balloon is up, but the balloon's not a big deal to lizards. They will run over that balloon pretty quickly. And this ferret harassment here might be enough to take down this gristmill. Looks like it's gonna do it. Here comes Premium Bow, though. Running around the side. Sees the balloon, now he's gonna commit. He wants to try to take that balloon out, but some good toad connections coming out of James. He's gonna delete the Premium Bow lizard count. He does trade, let's see. I mean, he got 6 toads and a balloon, right? So that's 240 food, traded for 12 lizards. So yeah, I mean, even trade, I guess. Not the end of the world, and you know, he does take out a balloon, which is going to open this attack path for additional rare rounds. What just happened? Oh, Yellow coming over here and knocking out a sneaky gristmill from one of his opponents. Good call. Let's see if this is going to go down again. These skunks are doing good work this game. But the real story here is that Firmar did manage to get a fox out during all this chaos. And that is gonna start hurting. As long as Firmar's micro is good, he should be able to get so much value out of this fox. Now, fox is a little bit harder to use when your opponent has lizards here, so. But blue, man, just getting caught way out of position there. Just army just gobbled up by the lizards of Premium Bow. Ooh, nice little cliff abusing there. Can he get it? Nah, that's probably too far away. Maybe? No, maybe if he had vision. I don't know. Now, red and blue aren't doing a terrible job splitting this map. You know, James has got a really good economy going. And that, you know, that's really the thing that blue and red have going for him here. I mean, Firmar does have this nice campfire, and he's got his second base started. But Premium Bow doesn't have a lot of economy left. But James has also been struggling to keep an economy together, so. Alright, I'm sorry, Lego Man has, but James does have a fox on the way here shortly. And Firmar's been doing a good job keeping his fox alive, which again is huge. All these chameleons coming. Oh, those are Who's chameleons? Yeah, those are Premium Bo's chameleons. Okay. Okay, what are you doing here? Oh my god. Oh, that's so mean. Oh, dude, I gotta start playing with chameleons, dude. I was for a while. God, just being able to do stuff like that. So brutal. There is no stealth detection in the game, so if you use the micro right, you can do all kinds of little ambushy sneak attack, Metal Gear Solid kind of strategies with those chameleons, man. I always love to see stuff like that. Good job from Premium Bo. Deny that expansion from Lego Man. And let's see, James's Tier 3 is almost out now. And we'll have to see who wins the Fox War. Premium Bo did get his second base going, so their team's economy is starting to stabilize, but let's see, trying to take advantage of the army being a little bit out of position, but they get over there relatively quickly. This Fox, oh man, this poor Fox. Yeah, James is kind of controlling all his units at once instead of just controlling the Fox and loses everything, man, there. That is brutal. This nice continuing ferret harassment, that balloon giving vision on the high ground. Very good for his team there for sure. I mean, both teams do have a decent economy. Trying to poke in more and more with these ferrets here. Ooh, Premium Bo being a little greedy there. I always hate that, man, when you get the red in your eyes, right? It happens to me all the time when I'm fighting against ferrets or foxes or units like that, where you're just like, we want to kill it so bad, and then you overcommit. We got some more fox action coming up. James built another one, so I believe Fermar has not lost his fox. This is the same fox he's had all game. Going for a second fox here, which will allow him to do a couple things. He'll be able to kill, I guess, skunks. I don't know if he'll one-shot a chameleon with two foxes. I'm not sure on the math on that one. He'll definitely one-shot another fox. I've never really gone with two foxes myself, but I get it. You know, you want to be able to one-shot things, I suppose. But you got to be careful because the DPS can get wasted. Oh, the chameleon! Oh no, those are Premium Bo's chameleons. I got so hyped for a second there. Oh man. Ooh. You don't want to engage your toads on a chameleons like that. That's a big reason that... Oh, by the way, over here in the corner, just a couple lizards out of Fermar, while this engagement is going on, knocks out that expansion again. But yeah, that's where the chameleons really have a great place in the meta, is because they just soak damage against toads so well. So like chameleon lizard makes a lot of sense, right? Because the lizards are obviously going to get run over by the toads, but you ideally, get those toads to engage onto your chameleons. They just kind of tank the damage, no big deal. Then your lizards come in and do their thing. Here we go again, Premium Bo going for the sneak attack. Ooh, he's just gonna leave him here for now? Maybe he's trying to wait till all of his chameleons get up. But in the meantime, a little bit more fox harassment going on. This is a pretty good 2v2, I must say. Here we go. Chameleon's trying to come in again. But blue does have some units there this time, so Premium Bo decides to back out for now. Wise move. You definitely don't want to lose all 6 of your chameleons trying to be too greedy. He tries to catch that fox, but the water's slowing him down too much. Slowly but surely, blue and red are getting a little bit of a pretty good setup here with their balloons and turrets, right? Yeah, the double fox will allow you to one-shot a ferret, which is pretty useful. Ooh, that balloon is very, very aggressive. Lego Man decides to not commit to it. But I feel like the armies are in the favor of yellow and green here. Man, Fermar go for 3 foxes. Now he's just being silly. More fox wars happening over here. Uh-oh, chameleon trap. Nope, not quite. Blue committing to this. Red helping him out. Oh, it's so many chameleons. Oh my god. The silent killers. Ooh, one of the foxes finally going down. Oh my god. This is just silly. There's so many chameleons. What, 16 chameleons out for their team? We're about to have double chameleon action. Nice little chameleon engagement here. Not going to be cost effective, but cost efficiency is not what matters right now. Just, being able to deny that base is pretty huge. Losing a few chameleons to do so isn't the biggest deal in the world of Premium Bow. And meanwhile, another big chameleon attack coming from his opponent on the southern side of this base. Backed up by the fox. Ooh, fox gets hit. Still alive, barely. Good micro from James, keeping that fox just barely alive, but no answer in sight for all these chameleons, and they're finally really starting to wreak havoc in their opponent's bases. And that's gotta be all she wrote. GG. Oh, man. Okay. We're gonna keep going. But I might take a quick break. I think that's reasonable, right? I just did 2 hours of casting straight. So let me take 5, guys. And I do want to keep going tonight. I want to get as far as we can. As long as you guys are hanging out with me, we still got plenty of replays to go through, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to take about a 5-minute break, and we will continue then. Okay, I'm back. What's up, everybody? Whew, okay, overtime here. What we got left? I think Psychopath has submitted before. Maybe he submitted on Tuesday. But might be a unique submitter. Could be his first time. If not, it's his second time, so let's hop into it. Game number 11. Spawning in the 6 o'clock position, we've got Psychopath. And his opponent spawning in the 10 o'clock, we got formerly known as. Alright, let's take a look here. Going for that Badger build, which, you know, is pretty good, but again, I want to hark on the fact that to pull that off correctly, you gotta have those pigeons with you. And Psychopath going for this pretty bread and butter, standard composition. You know, opting to take the mines, which is a little unique. You know, most people would take the turrets there, but we'll see if he can make that work for him. I don't mind this either, you know, claiming this high ground. It is a little difficult, and I don't think it's super... Well, I guess the squirrels could get, you know, right there. Or slightly closer and poke. So not bad, you know. Getting that vision early on is always good, but Psychopath is going for an aggressive opening here. And he did this correctly, which I like. Guess I take a second to point that out. But, you know, when you go for like a 5-farm double warren opening, you don't... Yeah, you see how formerly known as queued another farm. It's going to slow down his squirrel production. You don't want to... You want to queue your next farm when you get to 4 out of 6, and you've paid for those 5th and 6th squirrels. And then you're safe to go ahead and queue that farm. So as you're moving out, like I would move out, I think Psychopath should have moved out slightly earlier. And then on the back end of it, you're still spending your money on building farms. So yeah, the window closed slightly. He still has somewhat of a squirrel lead, but he could have taken a little bit better of advantage of this opening here, and you know, decides to follow it up with even more aggression. Let's see. Yeah, you're gonna need a couple more farms, right? I guess not. He's saving his money maybe for a tier 2. No, decides to take an expansion, which you really should flesh out the rest of those farms before you do so. I mean, the only exceptions being if you want to, like, expand your territory, but I don't really think he needs to in this case. He doesn't have the turrets or anything like that, and formerly known as doing a smart move here, trying to take this campfire, expand his territory out, maybe throw up a turret or two, but runs into an unfavorable squirrel engagement here. And Psychopath is going to take that very handily. And manages to take this campfire. I believe he still can sell that. Yeah, he sells it for 1 extra food, but Psychopath gonna keep the momentum up, but the defender's advantage has started to kick in for formerly known as, and he's gonna start getting the better end of this engagement. And the real problem here for Psychopath is that he does not have 8 farms. So formerly known as his economy is just straight up better at this point. So he's going to be able to reinforce and build more units more quickly. I would really like to see Psychopath work on his economy a little bit more. But it could work out for him. We'll have to see. Yeah, if you guys do submit me several replays, do know that most nights I'm only going to be able to fit 1 replay in from each submitter. So make a note of which replay you would prefer to be on the show if it's just going to be 1, because otherwise I'm just going to kind of pick at random. But here we go. I kind of like formerly known as his position here, but these squirrels kind of running around a little bit trying to find tiles. Yeah, he's still going to take a good engagement. And let's see if he overextends. It looks like he's going to. The defender's advantage should be kicking in for Psychopath. That mine goes off and takes a squirrel with it. And they're just going to kind of go back and forth, trading value here a little bit. Now, formerly known as, is getting a good setup going. If he could get a forward turret, you know, like right there, man, that would put him in a phenomenal spot to keep this aggression up. I think Psychopath is playing this very well, but this whole game he's just been at an economic disadvantage. And you know, it doesn't matter at that point if you're getting the better end of the trades. If your opponent has a better economy and they can rebuild faster than you, sometimes that'll even it out. Both these guys going for their tier 2 at basically the same times. But Psychopath does have a much faster second base, so slowly he can start building more and more farms and eventually edge out an economic lead if the game goes long enough. But formerly known as is going to engage here. He had a really good concave to start. And is going to continue to do well in this engagement. Toads are going to come in and clean up the rest of those squirrels, though. Yeah, you got to be really careful with target firing in situations like this. Like, look how much damage that tier 2 Warren took. You know, if formerly known as was targeting his opponent's units, he could have won that much more favorably. But now the ferret is out, which is going to let Psychopath slowly start doing some damage, and this is a good response from formerly known as. Sometimes when a poking unit comes out from your opponent, you just kind of gotta try to see if you can take a hard engage, and unfortunately for formerly here, did not work out for him. And then also, if your stuff is getting poked by a ferret, man, just go ahead and sell it, you know, and get as much value out of it as you can. Is normally the right approach to take. That tier 2 Warren did go down for Psychopath, but one ferret's really all you need. And as long as he babysits that and keeps it alive, he's just going to sit here and poke and poke and poke. And this is where it gets hard, man, when you're formerly known as. When you're getting poked upon, but you cannot take a hard engage. Because you have an inferior army here. So he's going to try to run around, man. Let's see if he can do some stutter stepping and take out these toads. It decides to pull back for now. But the ferret siege is just slowly but surely getting more and more value over time for Psychopath here. Decent toad connections, but not the best in the world, but it's gonna maybe be enough. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, and Psychopath just barely has enough squirrels to be able to win that. I'm not sure if Archimedes target fire down that ferret. Maybe perhaps that was the wrong move to make because the squirrel's running around trying to find position, and Psychopath knew he had the momentum there, moves in, and seals the deal. Woo, alright. Nice and short. That's what I like when I have a lot of replays. Okay. Alright, Meow Kaiser, you're up, man. Meow Kaiser versus Swifty. Let me make sure everything's good. Looks good. Cool. Alright, let's get into it, guys. Spawning in the 12 o'clock position, we've got Meow Kaiser. And in the 5 o'clock, his opponent, Swifty. I like Swifty's build. Interesting take on the fox. You know, getting the pigeons is always favorable if you can fit it in. I've been having difficulty trying to fit it in because I refuse to give up my toad slot, man. I think toads are really good in a lot of different situations. And the snakes kind of make sense too. I mean, they do really well against your opponent's tier 3, your opponent's tier 2. You can micro them. Like the ferret, snake, and fox both have really good poking, or all rather I should say, have really good poking capability. So you can get in on your opponent and just do kind of free value type damage. But Meow Kaiser has this nice little perfect closed-in base here, which is going to give him a lot of different strategies he can go for. He doesn't have the turrets, so something like a super fast wolf would be difficult to pull off, but a reasonably timed wolf wouldn't be too bad. And you know, this natural base isn't terrible. I mean, the ramp isn't probably how Meow Kaiser would like it. You know, he's got to run all the way around to get there, but he's still got a pretty close expansion. You know, Swifty's got this nice pocket. He couldn't be happier about that. Again, the ramp's a little awkward, but not too bad. And the campfire advantage is going to be pretty significant, man. An early campfire can make a big deal. So I like it, man. Meow Kaiser, you know, very boldly decides to take the campfire first. But Swifty, man, going for an 8-farm fox that gets scouted out by Meow Kaiser immediately. So let's see how Meow Kaiser decides to deal with this. He scouted it basically as quickly as he could have, you know. So he knows it's coming. And I think this is the right answer, man. You just want to roll over your opponent with tier 1. And Swifty doesn't have turrets. So it's going to be hard for him to hold on, man. All Meowkaiser's got to do is muster up a little bit of an army. Yeah, this is good enough already. And just start getting in there and poking down at his opponent. And that Fox starts, but Swifty's going to be at a disadvantage here. And this is where the turret really helps out with a fast tier 3 rush. So I'd like to see how Swifty manages to do this without one. Hey, Wizlock, I appreciate it, man. Thanks, dude. You should check it out. Tooth and Tail's awesome. It's really fun, man. I've been playing RTS games for so long, and I really love this one. It's a great addition, indeed. But Meowkaiser's force is coming in, and yeah, this is basically the right way to deal with this, man. You got to get in there before the Fox comes out, but it isn't able to do critical damage, and now the Fox is indeed here. And this is kind of where I like Toads a lot, man. Like, imagine if Meowkaiser had Toads there. He would have been able to roll over him a little more effectively. The Fox getting out a bit too far, but stays alive for now. Swifty is a good player, so he's got decent micro. He loses the rest of his army, though. But the Fox is still alive for now. But Swifty is... Meowkaiser does have a lot of momentum here. You know, with the Fox, especially, you don't want to run out your whole army with the Fox like that, because your army is not going to be able to compete with your opponents, but... Swifty with some good micro keeps the Fox alive and is starting to get more and more value with it this game. The Lizards are a very good answer to the Fox, though, because they're pretty quick and they can get up on it. And again, these tier 1 units coming out with the Fox for the Swifty, I would not recommend, because your army is just not going to clash effectively at this phase in the game. You want to just kind of hide the rest of your army back, you know, where they can defend and try to run around with the Fox as best you can. But you know, Swifty's executing this fairly well still. Meowkaiser hasn't been able to break him yet. And we'll see if he'll be able to. He has had that additional campfire up this whole game, so his economy is slightly ahead of Swifty's, but Swifty's slowly starting to be able to build up an army slightly, but again, man, constantly pulling his army out with the Fox, I believe, is the mistake this game, because he's never really letting that army get to a critical mass that he needs to really go toe-to-toe with this. Meowkaiser's going to go all in, and he manages to get the Fox, and that should really be all she wrote for Swifty, man. When you go for a very fast tier 3, and you lose it early on, yeah, you sell it off, but 9 times out of 10, man, that's going to be game if your opponent manages to take that. It's kind of a high-risk, high-reward play. And as you can see, Meowkaiser just continuing to trickle in here, and did devastating damage, you know, and I like this, you know. I wouldn't even mind Meowkaiser waiting even longer for more units, but he's got enough, at least he hopes, and he's coming in here again, and Swifty is able to clean that up. And yeah, Meowkaiser, man, just hang on, you know, let your armies rebuild up, maybe sell off a Warren if you need to, and go seal the deal, man. Really, the armies are starting to stabilize a little bit, but again, Meowkaiser still has that economic advantage. He was able to knock out several farms for Swifty, which Swifty really can't even remake. I mean, it's not worth it at this point. They don't have enough food left to warrant the 60 food it takes to build them, so... Yeah, I like this. Meowkaiser just being patient, you know, grabs another campfire, why not? But he's got a really strong army now. You know, and I think this is a good time to try to push in again. He's going to scout before he moves in with his army. That's good. Kind of size up his opponent. Decides, okay, I think I can take this. He moves in. And that should be enough to make Swifty tap out. Yeah, the tier 3 rush could have worked. Swifty should have had turrets. Like that's where it's difficult, because I mean, any trying to fit you only get so many units in your deck, right? So trying to fit everything in is rough, but having the turret with a tier 3 gives you the option to go for a fast tier 3. But I think he was okay without the turret. I think the mistake Swifty made there was he kept bringing his army out into the middle of the field with his Fox, which kept just getting ran over by Meowkaiser's army. Alright, so this one is a new submitter, I believe. Buster versus Foam BBK. So excited for this. Let's hop into it here. Game number 13. Let's do it. Spawning in the 6 o'clock position, we've got Buster. And his opponent in the 11 o'clock, Foam BBK. I guess I'll just call him BBK. And yeah, I don't mind builds from either of these players here. I mean, Foam does have that turret. You know, he's got the Fox. Snakes are fine. You know, I think snakes do really well against tier 2. You know, Falcon's always a nice unit to have in your composition for the late game. You can start stacking up how many Falcons you have and, you know, really add some punch to your army composition. You know, chameleons are great frontline tanks. I mean, all this looks pretty good from both these players, and we'll have to see how they decide to do this game. Wow, okay. So BBK here, going for that 5-farm snake rush. I think Mishi used to do this a couple months ago, man. It was so annoying. Mishi, if you're watching, man, you used to get me on the ladder with it. We used to go back and forth on the ladder a lot, man. And he thought of this like snake pigeon build, where you just get up, yeah, exactly this basically, and get out a snake and get the pigeon to heal it and just start tagging and microing, and because it only takes one hit from a snake to kill a tier 1 unit, right? So you just tag it with poison, tag the next one with poison. You got the pigeons to help keep the snake alive. Interesting build, a little difficult to execute, so we'll see if Foam BBK can manage to pull it off. No real abusable high ground or anything like that outside of Buster's base, and it's also going to be difficult for BBK to turn around and run away. You know, with this water in the way, and Buster's playing pretty straight up. You know, he's got regular composition here. You know, let's see, he's got to be careful. Yeah, he manages, beautiful. Now he's got to keep that snake alive. Oh, pigeon dies, but that's okay. You cannot lose the snake. Just run away. Ooh, man, he's being so ballsy here. 3-8, just wait for the pigeon, man. That's a good execution up front, but he's going to lose a snake. And let's see if the other snake manages to stay alive. Doing a good job targeting all these different squirrels. He's got to back up and keep it alive. It does go down. Good execution, but you really got to try to keep the snakes alive there. But he might have been okay. Like, he did kill a lot of squirrels. The snakes didn't just die for free or anything like that. But Buster does hold. He doesn't take any crazy damage. And they're kind of in the same spots, but I would say Buster's probably a little ahead. I mean, snakes are really expensive. You know, he lost 120 food worth of snakes. He lost a couple pigeons there as well. So he probably lost somewhere in the ballpark of around 200 food. And Buster didn't quite lose 10 squirrels, I don't think. You know, he lost several, but I don't think it was quite 10. So I would say Buster got the better end of that engagement for sure. And we'll see where this goes. I mean, Buster getting up to a considerable amount of chameleons here, which can make for a pretty powerful push. You know, if he reinforces with a couple more squirrel warrens, gets up to maybe 12, 15, hell, even 18 squirrels, and then pushes out with all those chameleons, that could be a big deal. But BBK coming in, looking to keep the pressure up. I wouldn't even mind seeing BBK take this gristmill here just to tank damage, and you know, hell, if it does finish, you can build a turret or two up there. And here we go, the engagement comes in, but chameleons are a fantastic counter to units like snakes and ferrets, and just come in and rail those two snakes down, and it's going to put Buster in a phenomenal position here. Let's see what he decides to do. He's going to do a counter push, which I don't blame him. Definitely a good move to make here. He's got to be careful not to overextend. Yeah, he decides to back out for now. You know, I would be happy if Buster just takes this gristmill at this point, right? Like, he's pretty ahead. He won both those engagements fairly well. And I would just get more ahead at this point. I mean, if I'm Buster, I've got this nice gristmill I can take right here. Maybe throw up a couple warrens on this high ground to prevent my opponent from abusing that. And just kind of play the game out into the mid-game. And BBK kind of beating him to it, takes a gristmill himself, and just kind of rounding out his army comp. I'm going to do a little ×2 action here. Yeah, there we go. Buster now takes that expansion. Getting a couple falcons up himself. We've been seeing a lot of pigeons tonight, man. Maybe I got to get back into using pigeons. Mishi, what do you think of toads right now, man? I've been seeing a lot of guys start dropping toads and use pigeons instead. BBK taking the economic lead. You know, he's saturating up just a little faster, but Buster's not too far behind on that regard, so shouldn't make the biggest difference in the world. And both these players are just kind of gearing up for these big mid-game armies. I think the real story here is going to be who opts to go for that tier 3 first, which should be coming down fairly shortly, right? I mean, both players have a sizable amount of tier 1 and tier 2. I mean, Buster could probably use a few more squirrels, maybe throw a few lizards in there. But I think both these players are in fairly decent positions to start maybe considering a tier 3, or if they'd rather to, yeah, just go ahead and engage. Now they got the army comp, so here we go. BBK coming in for another attack. Let's see if these chameleons do a good job tanking on the front line for Buster. The chameleons are all dead now. Falcons are still alive here, though, and looks like Buster will be able to hold this attack off and keep his Falcons alive, which is a big deal, man. And he's going to rush in here for the counterattack. Let's see if it'll work. He might just barely have enough. I would have maybe rather him waited just a few seconds, yeah. I think that was a slight mistake from Buster. I would have waited just a little bit for that Falcon to heal up and for more units to come in. You don't want to wait too long. I mean, he did have momentum there, but he probably could have done that a little more effectively. That's what makes Tooth and Tail so damn hard, man. You know, Buster just won that fight really well, but then you think, especially from other RTS games, like, okay, I just won, let me go in and do damage, but you know, pigs do so much work, and Defender's Advantage is a big deal. So Buster essentially just kind of traded that value that he just gained from that favorable engagement with his little bit of an overeager counter push. You know, lost his couple Falcons there, and yeah, I mean they're close, but Buster could have a better lead than he does, but he's still in the lead slightly. And here we go, the tier 3 unit is coming out for BBK, and he's also thinking about his third base, which I don't mind at all at this point. Might be a little difficult for Buster to take a third here. You know, this is probably his best bet, but it's still going to be a difficult base for him. Let's see, is he going to have enough money for his Fox when it comes out? Yeah, it looks like it. Oh, gets supply blocked a little bit, but it should come back up here shortly, and there he goes. So, Fox on the way. Wolf Warren does go down for Buster. And that third base is up now for BBK, and I wonder if, yeah, not quite aware of it yet, but now Buster knows, and that's got to be frustrating for him, man. When you see your opponent's got that third base, he's got a couple farms on the way, and you don't have much of a prospect for a third base on the map, you know, it definitely feels rough. So Buster's really got to do something here. He can't just let BBK claim that third base and get ahead economically. I guess the verdict's still out on toads. I think toads are really strong, man. I think they're strong even against squirrels. But the fox is out. Let's see how much value BBK can get with it. You gotta be real careful not to lose it. That's why, you gotta be real careful not to run your commander ahead of your fox. 9 times out of 10, when you're using the fox, you want to keep your commander behind it, so you can easily micro it back. You know, target firing high value units is not as important as keeping your fox alive. Never is. The big thing with a fox, you got 2 goals with a fox. You want to constantly be using it, constantly dealing damage, and you want to keep that thing alive. But oh, it gets caught in the water, and the wolf is actually a really good counter to the fox because it buffs the speed and allows units to get up on it quickly. The fox goes down, and Buster just comes in here with this great army composition, rolls over his opponent. Great match. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of foxes tonight, man. Alright, Shadow 31. Isn't that Sly Fox? Or is that Shadow Prince? I think that's Shadow Prince, right? Yeah, I think so. 10:30, man. Only on game number 14. Okay. Alright, let's keep going, man. This is endurance stream here. Whew, okay. Spawning in the 7 o'clock position, we've got Jamal. And in the 2 o'clock, his opponent, Shadow 31. Let's see. Yeah, Jamal's build is great, man. I think that's pretty meta right now. You know, he's got that Badger turret pigeon combination I've been talking about. He's actually got this nice little enclosed one entrance base, so he's got the option to rush up to a fast Badger if he wants to. And on the other hand, Shadow 31 has some very nice gristmills all around his main here. He definitely won that lotto for sure. You know, this one in the middle, it's probably too contestable. These wing gristmills on either side, man, are pretty good for Shadow. That'll be a nice second and third base for sure. Jamal isn't completely screwed, but, you know, he's going to have to expand out here to get that base, which isn't terrible. You know, if he can kind of set up a frontal position, you know, somewhere around here, and maybe try to defend both those bases at once. He does have this campfire advantage over Shadow, which is pretty big deal, man. If I have a nice campfire like that, you know, most of the time I'll just get maybe one Warren, maybe two Warrens, and just go ahead and take it. And this third base is kind of reasonable for Jamal. And there's also this other little hidden campfire, so not terrible. I mean, Shadow, at first glance, this map looks really great for Shadow, and it certainly isn't bad, but he actually decided to take a really quick expand. Oh no, that's Jamal. Oh, Jamal pulling some crazy stuff here. Let's see, Slyfox is not aware of it, or Slyfox, geez, Shadow is not aware of it. Shadow has not actually scouted that area, so he doesn't know that gristmill exists at all. And Jamal doing some crazy stuff here, man. Taking two campfires, taking that proxy gristmill. I wonder what his plans are for this. It would be cool to see a couple turrets go down and try to set up a front position and really put your opponent in a difficult situation. But I love this response from Shadow 31. I think this is always a really great move to do if you're going for a bread and butter strategy. Like, a lot of games, what I'll do is I'll start out with 9 squirrels and 3 toads, right? And then I just go in and poke. Like, Shadow didn't have to commit here, but you're kind of like checking your opponent. Like, hey, are you doing anything crazy? And you don't have an army? You didn't build, 3 or 4 tier 1 Warrens? Well, guess what? I did, and now I have more units than you. I think it's really good, and you don't even have to commit with something like that. I highly recommend doing that, man. That was great out of Shadow there. Yeah, just build those 3 tier 1 Warrens, get 9 squirrels, just poke, If Jamal had several squirrels there, then Shadow would have just left. He didn't have to commit, but he recognized, looking at his opponent's army, like, okay, he's doing some crazy stuff here. He's missing army value, so I've got an opportunity to come in and do some pretty crippling damage, man. I mean, he took out, 3 farms there? I mean, that's a big deal. And he also traded very favorably with his squirrels, so that's going to give Shadow a lot of value, and he decides he's going to take advantage of that by throwing down some farms. But Jamal, man, with this hidden base, still getting some work done for him. Cyborg, hey, if you were closer, man, I think you're like a 2.5 hour drive from me, man. Oh, but that would be cool. We definitely need to hang out sometime, dude. I go down there all the time for work. So one of these days we'll meet up, man. I'm excited. Yeah, this is such a funny game. Like, I can't believe Shadow does not know about this base. I mean, he would just roll over it, man. And Jamal's committing hard to this base, dude. He went straight 8 farms here. So if he gets busted, that's going to be game over for him, man. And Shadow's got to think something's up. Like, you go in, you might be thinking tier 3. Yeah, exactly. You go in, you count just a handful of squirrels and a turret. I don't think so. I've got the ferret, so I don't have to hard engage anymore. Now I can just kind of poke and prod and put him under pressure. And the longer this poke goes on, the worse it's going to get for Jamal. The correct answer here is to hard engage, but he cannot hard engage because his army's not that strong. Moves the squirrels out to try to save him. Looks like he's just giving up on this base completely and going for this other base, hoping he doesn't have a ton of room. Well, I guess up there on the high ground he does a little bit. Nice decision making from Jamal, but I don't think it's going to pay off for him because he doesn't have a lot of room for Warrens over here. And Shadow's going to do a clean sweep of this map. You know, he knows he's basically won the game. All he's got to do is find his opponent. He's going to be looking and looking and looking. And now he should eventually find it. There it is. And it should just be a clean sweep from here. Jamal's got quite a few Warrens, but doesn't have an army. And Shadow's just going to be able to come in and seal the deal. Yeah, almost gave it away. I mean, I probably basically did. I don't know. It's alright. Okay. Whew, okay. We'll do 15. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. 10:40. Alright, guys. Whew, let's do it. Spawning in the 8 o'clock position, we've got the Lord Vidor. And his opponent, the 3 o'clock, Blackmore Crest. And this is definitely a unique submitter, so really cool to see. Nice builds coming out of both these players. I like it. Lord Vidor does have the moles. He did go 5 farm originally, but, did he not? That sucks. Like, when you run moles, you want to find your opponent as quick as possible, even if you queue that 5th farm, because you can go back and sell it and do a 3 mole attack. I'm not the expert on moles, but I believe if you do not queue this, you can do an immediate, as you scouted them, 2 mole attack, where if you did queue it, you can run back, sell it off, you know, go back to them and do a little bit of a later 3 mole rush. But it's not going to be an option for Lord Vetter this game because he did not scout his opponent even yet. He should just now find him. And a very greedy opening indeed coming out of his opponent, but he went for greed himself. So these guys are going to stabilize. And we should see a tier 1 Warren out of the Lord Vidor here. There it is. Now they're basically in the same spot. I mean, Vidor is going to have a little bit of a faster 8th farm, but it shouldn't make a big deal at all. So we'll see where they go from here. Hopping on to ×2. You know, just straight up. This is, if you're a new player, guys, like, that is the opening. Not the exact opening. The safest opening you could do is a 5 farm. Like, you start, you queue a farm, you go scout, you come back, throw down a Warren, queue your 6th farm, and then from there, queue 7th and 8th farms, and you start off. But really the goal, no matter how you slice it, is you want to get up to 8 farm, 2 Warren as quick as possible. There are a couple exceptions with aggressive builds, but for the most part, if you're trying to look for, like, a standard opening you can ladder with, you know, doing that 5 farm Warren, opening into 8 farm, 2 tier 1 Warren is pretty ideal. And Lord Vader here has taken a couple risks at once. You know, he went for a tier 2 early, which is a risk, and he also went for a fast gristmill, which is another risk, but he does have the turrets with him to help mitigate this risk, so I don't mind it as much. I actually do a build somewhat similar than Vidor. I've actually been trying to polish an actual build order instead of just kind of improvising my games. And sometimes if I don't feel like being aggressive, I'll get like 4 tier 1 Warrens into a tier 2, into X-Ban, into 7 tier 1 Warrens with 2 farms, something like that. I don't want to give it away completely. You guys will see me on the ladder and know what I'm going to do. But yeah, I mean, Blackmore took a base of his own, and you know, this map is going to be difficult for Blackmore, so I don't mind him being aggressive and taking that gristmill. And this actually is going to give him a good opportunity to secure a chunk of this high ground. This high ground is going to be very critical to this game. This is most likely going to be the contestant point where all the big engagements are going to happen. So Blackmore Crest now has a territory to throw down a turret or 2 up here on this high ground to secure this campfire behind it and have some area for his units to heal up. They're going to go into similar compositions here, both favoring, you know, a double Falcon opening with some economy behind it. But the big story here is that Blackmore Crest does have those toads, man, and Vidor only has lizards. So he's not going to be able to do anything like tech switch into squirrels, which is why, for the most part, another like beginner tip is you want to take like squirrel lizard, you know, lizard toad, squirrel toad, something like that, for the most part. I mean, there are builds where you can just get away with 1. Typically, if you are just going to run 1 of the tier 1 core units, I think the recommendation is normally squirrel, because these engagements are going to be hard for Vidor. Yeah, maybe I'd make an exception here if Veter had the chameleons, because you can use the chameleons to soak those toad hits with some good micro, but Veter is really a gambling man, dude. He's taking another risk here and saturating the hell out of this second base. So that does give Blackmore Crest an opportunity to build units, but he actually decides to saturate the hell out of his second base as well. So we got a good economic mid-game on our hands here. Some okay turrets, but just, you know, being a little critical here, I would prefer to put just a couple turrets and put them up here next to this other one and really try to make that front line. Nice! You know, really abusing the speed of the lizards, but I'm worried for Veter here with this engagement. These toads should connect phenomenally, and sure enough they do. And Veter's going to lose his entire army for this insolence of trying to snipe that gristmill there. Now, he's got a lot of money wrapped up in turrets. He's actually got a lot of money in his bank. So hopefully he can manage to get something up in time, but you know, this turret placement, you don't... You know he's trying to cover all his angles here, but you really want the turrets together, and you want them in a front line on like a choke, you know, like, for example, he wouldn't need these two turrets if he was securing this area more, because it would be difficult for his opponent to swing around, but Blackmore Crest could be overextending a little bit here. This next wave of units should be enough, though, and now he's starting to deal that really crucial, critical economic damage to his opponent, which he's got to do, man. You got to remember, he did lose his gristmill, so I don't know, man. At the end of the day, Veter does manage to stay alive, and he's in a phenomenal spot, and Blackmore really's got to sell off a couple of warrants here. You never want your units in the red. Yeah, there you go. Good job on that. He's trying to get this gristmill up again. The lizards are moving out, but the toads are a little more in position this time. But one toad isn't going to be enough. Another toad comes up, but units are just kind of streaming in one by one for Blackmore here. Veter had his army all together, manages to keep him alive, and the Falcons on the back end of this attack are going to do some real serious damage to these reinforcing units of his opponent. And now we're getting really scrappy, but it seems like Veter's just got barely enough, and taking out this second base again, it's going to be all she wrote. He's going to win the game. Okay. Alright. I think I can hold it for one more game. So one more game, then a quick little bathroom break. Oh, God. We're doing it. I think this is my longest TnTTV show. As a way of saying thanks, everybody, for submitting a ton, man. I've gotten so many replays this week. It's been super cool. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I tried to get everybody on the show tonight. If you weren't on the show tonight, message me in Discord or email me or something if I somehow missed you, and I'll be sure to get you prioritized on Tuesday. Okay, let's hop into game number 16 here. The Post Salesman versus Valeris. Valeris I do recognize. I believe he's actually a pretty high-level player. I don't recognize the Post Salesman, though, so let's get into this one. Alright, spawning in the 5 o'clock, we've got Valeris with his opponent, the Post Salesman. Kind of interesting build out of Post Salesman here. I wonder what the overarching strategy is, and there's kind of another concept in games like this where you have a deck. It's really big in card games. Like, I've been a big card game nerd my whole life. But you gotta think, like, there's good cards, you know? Like, damn, this card is really strong. Like, one of the hardest things to realize in competitive card gaming is being able to understand you need cards in your deck that work with each other, that synergize with each other, and not necessarily the best pound-for-pound card. Like, yeah, that 5-mana 6/6 with haste is great, but is it good for your deck? You know, maybe not. It's got to synergize together, and that's really where some thinking comes in with deck building, man, because there's a lot of good units right now in Tooth and Tail. The meta's pretty healthy. I think, yeah, really, I think Mines and Barbed Wire are a little too situational, but that's kind of the way they're designed. I mean, I don't think there's any unit that's just complete garbage or any unit that's complete broken. So you've got to really, you only get 6 cards in your deck here, you know, and you got to think, okay, I got to build a deck that works with each other. So I'm interested what Post Salesman's strategy is here. He's got the balloon, so you know he's got a lot of poking capability with his deck. I'd like to see him maybe take a forward gristmill and try to set up a nice balloon position and kind of poke from underneath it with his ferrets, but a lot of aggression coming in this game, to be honest. Kind of filling time talking about nonsense when we've actually got a lot of stuff to say here in this early game. You know, both these guys going for pretty aggressive builds, and Valeris even sealing it in with a turret. He's going to reposition. I like to see him sell that back turret off, and kind of start maintaining this forward, this high ground here. And he's got a nice natural base. That's not too terrible for him. He's got a nice campfire, and Post Salesman's kind of in the same boat. He's got a nice, you know, pocket base there. He's got a nice campfire. This base here in the middle probably never get taken. So the game might come down to these couple economic structures over here. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately with the deck I've been experimenting with on the ladder. It's like, how do all these units work together? You know, what's my strategy going into this? Okay, does that strategy require lizards? Well, no, not really. Then, as much as I love playing with lizards and I love doing lizard runarounds and things like that, you know, for this specific strategy with this specific deck, I can't afford to take them. So try to think about little things like that when you're putting together your tooth and tail composition. A good example of that's like that badger pigeon turret combination, you know, where it's like, okay, I know badger pigeon turret is kind of like the core of my deck. You know, what are the 3 units that are going to synergize the best with the strategy I'm going for, which is to get that badger up with several pigeons, right? And it's hard decision making, man. That's always I spend so much time thinking about that like 6th pick in my deck, man, just to get that perfect build. But so far so good. Nothing super crazy this game. I mean, this balloon is okay, and it's doing that job I was talking about earlier. I don't mind it. It's just one balloon, you know, it's nothing crazy, but it's doing a good job of defending both these bases. Maybe if it was placed just a little further down, but I don't know, then you don't want to leave your main too open. But really that should discourage Valeris from attacking in, which is going to allow Post Salesman to get up this nice little tier 1 army composition he wants and saturate up his second base pretty effectively. But Valeris isn't slouching around either, and to be honest, I almost prefer his strategy here. You know, he's take those campfires, and he realizes there's going to be a lull in the game for a little bit since his opponent went for a balloon sniper, and decides, you know, I've got plenty of time to safely get up a few falcons here. So we'll have to see where these guys want to take the game from here. I might do a little ×2 action while it's just building up. You know, nothing too crazy going on here, guys. I think they both kind of have this gentleman's agreement. Like, yeah, we're on this second base. You know, Post Salesman is in a good spot. Now, this is a really important thing to do as well. You want to scout how many bases your opponent took, and you either want to try to match that on your second base. Then you see Valeris going to do that now. He just got confirmation, okay, my opponent invested in economy, I'm going to do the same. Another option you have there is to say, oh, damn, you went up to 8 farm on your second base. I've only got 1 or 2. I'm going to spend that money on army and come swing at you, you know. But it's usually safer to go with Valeris. I mean, it's really hard to fight into the defender's advantage. You know, in theory, if both armies are equal, the person defending is going to have a pretty clear advantage. So sometimes you'll get into these mid-game standstills a little bit where both guys, you know, are like, well, I don't want to take a bad fight, right? Like, I don't have to fight right now. We might not see these guys really move out until third bases start coming into this, and that is a beautiful balloon. I'd even love to see him sell this other one off once it's done. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's a great defensive structure. But Valeris did get up to an owl during all this. He decides he's going to be the one to try to take that third. Post Salesman takes this a little bit harder to defend third about the same time. But Valeris is banking some money here, man. He could easily afford to throw down another owl warrant or two. And that owl is going to be a big deal. I mean, Post Salesman doesn't have a good answer for that. And a good answer, in my opinion, is really the Falcon. You know, obviously does not take damage from the mice, and it's not the tallest order in the world to focus fire down your opponent's owls with your falcons. But man, Valeris just has such a strong army composition here, man. You know, a little skimpy on the tier 1, but he's got enough. And the owl kind of allows you to skimp on tier 1 a little bit because it makes little grunt units for you. And just so many falcons, man. Like, once you start getting up to falcon numbers like that, it gets crazy. Yeah, let's see, Valeris. I wouldn't mind you throwing down another owl warren here, man. Just going up for more and more falcons. Now, floating a little bit of money at this phase in the game isn't always incorrect, I would say. Like, there might be some merit to the thought of, like, my army's kind of big enough for now, you know? I'm going to save a little bit of my bank for the reinforcement after that big engagement, but I don't know. I guess it's probably better to just get a bigger army for that first big engagement. Nice use of chameleons here. Should be able to take that base out basically for free, but Valeris is going to say, you know what, you don't have your chameleons with your army. Let's see if this is a good window for me to move out. That owl going down almost immediately in that fight, but it does tank some damage, but this second balloon is still alive here for Post Salesman, just getting a ton of work done. And overall, Post Salesman's in great shape. He managed to take down the tier 3 of his opponent, which is very important. You know, he took out his opponent's third base, and he kept his third base alive, so I think he's in great shape here. That balloon just getting so much work done. You gotta be careful. You know, if you have the defensive structures, you want to try to force the fight underneath it. That's exactly what he's doing with this little dance. He wants to try to bait Valeris in to fight in the most favorable position, but as this dance continues, the ferrets are just getting more and more kills. So Valeris decides to engage. Doesn't seem to work out for him. He's got to back out for now. And Valeris is in a rough spot, man. It's going to be hard for him to secure a third base. And it's going to be hard for him to break the third base of his opponents. Losing that owl was really unfortunate for him, man, because one owl is like, you know, yeah, it's one owl. It's not terrible, but really where owls get scary is when you get up to 2, 3, 4 owls, you know? It's just like an overwhelming amount of free units. But the engagement does happen, and Falcons are pretty good units, and the engagement wasn't under the balloon, so Valeris took that really well and puts him back in this game. Okay. Ooh. If Post Salesman takes that third, it's going to be rough for Valeris to ever expand again. But Valeris trying to catch his opponent out of position to snipe the gristmill. Manages to do so. That's going to put him in fantastic shape. Yeah, he's going to lose a lot in the process, but that's a big deal, man. We're getting to the point now where these second bases are mining out, and Post Salesman was very greedy in saturating up his second base very fast. So his economy is in the dumps here. Just all those Falcons from Valeris just doing so much work. This is why I just love having Falcons. Like, Falcons and Owls kind of serve the same purpose. I know not really, but I feel like you can get away with one or the other for a nice late game addition to your army. Let's see, Valeris is starving, but he's got plenty of money to start some eco over here. Manages to get it up. But Post Salesman looking for the kill. Running around the middle of the map, trying to figure out where Valeris' army is. But I don't know, man. Valeris' army is pretty strong. Doesn't have a whole lot of tier 1, but he's got toads, which with good engagements could hurt these squirrels. Actually, the squirrels manage to kill the toads before any of them connect. But all the Falcons in the back is just still too much. And Post Salesman's got to tap out. Oh my god. Okay. 4 more. I think I can do it. Ugh. I am so exhausted. I think I can keep going though. Let me take a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Alright, I'm back. Ugh. Ooh. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me, guys. Thank you so much for all the replay submissions I got this week. That's why I'm doing this bonus extra long show for everybody tonight. Run through a little bit of announcements real quick, guys. Don't forget to sign up for Jed Erickson's free-for-all tournament that's coming up this Saturday. There's a Google Doc with the information underneath my page in the Tooth and Tail events section. And then also, don't forget Cyborg just started his Wednesday night tips and tricks series. I'm not sure if you have a name for that, but I've just been kind of referring to it as tips and tricks. But where Cyborg's going to kind of go over the basics, and it's supposed to be a good area. If you're a guy who's having difficulty maybe getting over like 200 on the ladder, it's definitely a good show for you to tune in to. Maybe you're new to RTS games and want to learn more about the core mechanics and how units interact and stuff. So really excited to have Cyborg doing that with us, and that's going to be on Wednesday nights here on TnTTV, 8 p.m. Normal show time. And we're hoping we're starting to get some good regular broadcasting going, which I'm excited about, man. You can turn into Cyborg's show and learn the basics and get some new tips and tricks and learn how units interact, and you can tune into the regular replay show, which is what you're watching right now, and just see the metagame and see some crazy builds. Or if you if you're confused on why you lost the game or something, you can throw it over to me and I can analyze it for you. So real happy about that, man. We got another tournament on the horizon. Josh on Discord is putting something together. I actually need to message him and see what the deal is with that, because I want to start plugging it a little more. But alright, guys, I want to get through 20 tonight, man. I think I can muscle it through. I'm getting tired, but I can do it. If you nerds are still here with me, I can rough it out for you guys. So let's hop into it, man. Game number 17. Let's do it. In the 1 o'clock position, we've got Galactasun. And his opponent, 8 o'clock. Man, I'm going to butcher this, but Canal Beater. I'll just call him Canal, or Canal. I don't know. It's probably a European or something, but he did go for the 4-farm opening, and the reason he did that is because he wants the mole rush, but unfortunately for him, man, he did not manage to get that initial scout out on his opponent. Now, he can still do it if he gets it in time. He can make 2 moles here. Yeah, he's got to know his opponent's somewhere around here. He does find Galactasun, who should have got the memo. Yeah, looks like he has scouted his opponent, so he knows he's on 4 farms. Let's see if he reacts in time. Does he get a squirrel out? Ooh, barely does not. I think he actually sold the Warren, which I would have probably recommended getting that squirrel out, man, for sure. But did one mole go down, or did he sell it? I'm not exactly positive. This mole goes down there, so at least 2 moles dead for 2 farms and basically a Warren. I mean, oh wow, he's not done yet. He's gonna come in with a follow-up attack, which is gonna be really rough for Galactasun to defend here, because he did just decide, okay, the rush is over, I'm gonna get a lot of economy. The rush is still coming, man. Moles are still on their way. He probably should have waited for both those moles to come in together. Manages to get another pig, but he's trading the moles for them. So at the end of the day, Galactasun's in a good spot. As weird as that seems, because, Canal's got to wait for that mole to walk all the way back, got to wait for it to heal to get that refund. And, Galactasun's on a very good economy right now, but Canal deciding he is all in with this aggression here and going for that double farm lizard rush. So that could be pretty brutal if Galactasun doesn't sniff it out. I know he saw the 1 Warren. Yeah, but he needs to get a good scout off here. Let's see what kind of information. I mean, he's got the squirrels making, so unless Canal moved out like right now, I think Galactasun's fine, because now, yeah, Galactasun's in a great spot. Canaler. He had an opportunity, but now the squirrels are out for Galactasun. They're not in position, though. And good. Yeah, definitely good for Canal there. He loses just a few lizards to get a couple pigs off his opponent. So that was definitely about as good as you can ask for with some lizard aggression there. Green defends Mole Rush with farms. What the hell? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, am I going to cast on Saturday? I'm not sure, to be honest. I might have plans on Saturday. I know Jet's going to be casting it for sure. I need to talk to him and see what's up, but Galactasun is coming in. His army's out of position, which Canal is going to be able to take advantage of here and just basically butcher all of his farms, but Galactasun's going to go for the base race. He might be able to make it in time, and oh man, I don't know. I don't think Canal had enough lizards to commit to take out that Gristmill, but he really needed to, and lizards are going to come in, but there are just so many squirrels for Galactasun here. He's going to clean those up, no problem. He should be able to just hammer this base down. Yeah, he's going to lose some lizards in the process, or squirrels rather, but he's going to have enough. And that's going to be all she wrote for Canal, I gotta imagine. Just a couple more hits on that Gristmill is all he needs. Oh, Mole. Oh, man, he made it. Oh, but Galactasun starves. Oh, man. Canal ends up taking the game. That is awesome. That was super clutch. Oh, dude. Poor Galactasun. But it was nice and short, which helps me out. Alright, 3 more. I mean, this 20th one's kind of a bonus. I already did one from Chip tonight. But we'll see. Alright, number 18. Violin versus March Faster. Let's do it. Okay, spawning in the 9 o'clock, we've got Violin. And in the 3 o'clock, his opponent, March Faster. March Faster going for that safe squirrel, toad, lizard. I like that strategy. I really do. I feel like I have so many options. Like I can do early aggression with the lizards. You know, I can transition into squirrel toad if my opponent starts building toads himself, or you know, build just like maybe 6 or 9 lizards to keep doing runaround attacks while keeping squirrels in a defendable position. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it, but the drawback is, of course, it takes half your deck to be able to fit the squirrel toad lizard, so you're kind of limited on what else you can do with it. And Ferret Falcon is pretty standard, you know. Ferret Falcon or Chameleon Falcon, it's all pretty good stuff. And Violin's kind of got the interesting deck here, though. I mean, he's got that smorgasbord of tier 2, as I call it, where they take at least three tier 2 choices, and they're all pretty meta tier 2 choices. I like them a lot. You know, skunks seem very powerful to me right now. I mean, so many people go for tons and tons of tier 1 units, and skunks just deal with that so effectively. And of course, I always feel safe with ferrets because ferrets allow you to do a lot of different things, man. For one, if your opponent's turtling up, you can just totally punish them for that. And for 2, ferrets allow you, what's the best way to put it? Like, it allows you to force your opponent to get drawn out of their defender's advantage, right? Like, if Violin had a nice army up here, and he had some ferrets that were just poking down on March Faster's base, you know, maybe Violin's army is not good enough to beat March Faster if he attacks into his base directly, and March Faster has the Warrens tanking, he's got the farms doing damage, that kind of stuff. But maybe the army is good enough if the ferrets can lure March Faster's army out into an engagement on the field, right? And then that way it doesn't have as much of a defender's advantage. He's still got a little bit of a defender's advantage because he's got a faster reinforcement time. Well, I shouldn't say a little bit. It's actually still a pretty significant advantage, but yeah, I mean, this opening for March Faster is pretty normal. You know, I do something similar. I think it's not unheard of to build, you know, 6, 7 tier 1 Warrens right up the front. It feels really safe, and you can punish the hell out of your opponent if they try to do something greedy, like take a fast tier 3 or something. You just run in there and run over them. And Violin is not, I mean, it's a little greedy, but not really. I think that's a pretty well-timed tier 2. It's a decently timed Gristmill. It was a little bit before 3 minutes, you know. I actually do a build similar to this sometimes as well, where I'll get about 4 tier 1, get a tier 2, and go into an expansion, but it's a defensive role, you know. He's gonna... it's going to be on March Faster to move out here. But he certainly doesn't have to. You know, he scouts the expansion of his opponent, decides, I'm just going to expand myself, no big deal, and we'll take this to the mid-game. So let us fast forward a little bit into the mid-game here. March Faster getting out his ferrets. That's going to really give him a lot more power to move out and to apply damage. And as this ferret meta comes up, we're probably going to see more and more balloons, because balloons cannot get hit by ferrets, unlike turrets. They are more expensive, but they do really good burst damage, and you know, the ferrets can't touch them. So as we see more and more people take ferrets, we'll probably see the balloon come back as well. And that's what I love about metagames. You know, it's like certain things, there has to be certain conditions for things to be popular. You know, it's not that people weren't making balloons beforehand because balloons were bad. It's just, you know, you don't really need them. Where now it's like, oh, so many people are building ferrets, it makes balloons a lot more viable. And balloons are still totally viable, don't get me wrong. Balloons are actually one of the best defensive structures in mass. Probably the best, you know. 1 or 2 balloons is pretty good, but it's manageable. But when you get up to like 8 balloons, I mean, there's almost nothing that can be done about that. And both these guys taking a tier 3. I wouldn't really call this a tier 3 rush. You know, it's still a little bit of an early tier 3, but both players are well into their second base. This is a nice timing for a tier 3, to be perfectly honest. You know, you got a good chunk of tier 1 out. You got a couple tier 2 out. You got, you know, a second base. It's kind of half saturated. Let's throw down a tier 3 and round it out. So both these guys should be approaching the mid game with the army compositions that they want. Now the Fox, it's going to be on Violin here to get a lot of damage done with this Fox. You know, that Owl can just kind of chill. I mean, you do want to use the mice so you don't waste it, you know, and more mice can spawn and you get more and more value. But it's super important to micro the hell out of this Fox, man. You can't just let the Fox sit around. That Fox has got to be getting work done on the map non-stop. You know, you've got to kill 18 tier 1 units for a Fox to pay for itself. Just think about that. So that's a lot of shots you got to get going. Yeah, so far nothing crazy. Yeah, Violin wants to start his Fox micro. He's got a nice little pocket here coming into the back base of his opponent. Gets 2 farms off the back, a 3rd farm. Yeah, now's the time to run away. Beautifully executed by Violin. He gets out of there before those lizards make it in time. You know, lizards really give Fox the run for their money, man. I feel like lizards are good against Fox and against Badger. You know, just because they have the opportunity to get up on them. You know, lizards move the same speed as a Fox, but if a Fox has got to like turn a corner or walk through some water or something, the lizards will be able to get up on it. The March Faster, man, has a significant amount of tier 1 here, and I almost wish Violin would have invested in skunks early rather than snakes, because that would have done him more justice here. And this attack from March Faster is just incredibly powerful, running all over his opponent's face. The Fox is still alive for now, and he does manage to pull it back. Wow, I thought March Faster would probably run over him there, but those balloons got a lot of work done, and so did those snakes, and a lot of Warrens went down there. I think he killed at least tier 2 Warrens. So that's all damage that was not being done on his opponent. Did kill a farm there as well. I would just kill that balloon, man. Like, if you just see one balloon, like, undefended like that, balloons are pretty squishy. I would have liked to see those lizards knock that balloon out just real quick, but coming in here, not so good of an engagement, getting a little bit too greedy, and taps out knowing he kind of messed up a little bit there, so Violin takes the win. Good match. Oh man, we might be able to do it. Oh, okay. Got 2 more, and we got 2 good ones here. We're gonna end the night strong with a couple high-level games. The Gentleman, Pillow 8, Chip from Space are all great players. Boom. Let's do it. Spawning in the 6 o'clock position, we've got the Gentleman. And his opponent, the 9 o'clock, Pillow 8. Yeah, I love seeing games from Pillow 8. I don't think he submits that often. I know he watches fairly often, but a lot of people submit games with him in it. And he really likes this Owl artillery build. And Gentleman, man, going for that 4-farm mole. We'll have to see how Pillow reacts. He does have a turret, which is pretty ideal, but doesn't manage to take it down in time. Does sell that farm off, and the Gentleman doesn't seem like he wants to overcommit here. He's just going to go home. So, no harm, no foul. But really, the Pillow should get slightly ahead out of that Mole Rush. Like, Mole Rushes do have to do something, you know? Otherwise, people would just do it every single game. In before chats, like, they do it every single game, lol. But that's 60 food that Gentleman's got wrapped up in that mole right now, which is another farm for Pillow at the exact same time, right? So, Gentleman's just got to let that mole heal up. Actually, looks like he's flirting with the idea of pressing the advantage, which might not be a bad move. I mean, he's got lizards on the way. You know, Pillow did get pretty greedy, but decides I don't need to do it. And he's just going to go back and take the 8 farms himself, I'd imagine. Boom. Let's speed it up a little bit. See where these guys decide to take it. Yeah, I like Pillow because he's really stubborn like I am, man. Like, he likes his owls and he likes his artillery, and he wants to make that work regardless of the meta. I'm the same way with the Fox, man. When the Fox gets nerfed or buffed, I don't care. I still try to figure out ways to make it work, and artillery is strong, man. It's expensive, but if you can get one of those cannons down, it is insane, dude. So you got to get really good positioning with it, but Pillow has exactly what you want if you're going for this kind of build. You know, he's got these nice 3 bases that he can defend fairly easily, and there's only really one main entry point. So if Pillow takes this base, right, and throws an artillery cannon, maybe a turret or 2 up on that high ground, he's going to be in such good shape. And meanwhile, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world for the Gentleman to expand. Now, this map actually is going to split very evenly. You know, if we get to a late game here, you know, Pillow is going to secure, you know, these 3 gristmills, and Gentleman will take these. Gentleman also gets an extra campfire out of it, but that may or may not even come up. It's difficult to scout the entire map, and as you can see, the Gentleman's not aware of that campfire, and neither is Pillow 8, which is funny because he's basically should be. He was like an inch away, like 1 pixel off, but both players do have expansion. Gentleman is aware of his opponents, but Pillow is not aware of the Gentleman's, so really what the Gentleman needs to do here, though, is he's got to recognize that Pillow has toads. I mean, he's going very hard on the lizards, and the Gentleman actually has been known a lot lately for lizard runarounds, lizard aggression, heavy lizard builds, so maybe seeing a few toads is not enough to stop the Gentleman. Maybe he understands how to play around those toads with the lizards. We'll have to see. If he was going to sell off the lizards, it would be right now, and he chooses not to, so maybe he understands how to deal with toads and not let them just run all over his lizards here. I'm not really sure to play versus Owl without having tier 3. Yeah, man, it's all about Falcons. Like, I think Falcons and Owls both play the same role. They're both that late game heavy DPS unit, you know. It certainly doesn't hurt to have both, as both these players do, but you can get away with one or the other, you know. I mean, my build, I typically have been running Squirrel, Toad, Ferret, Falcon, Fox, Turret. And the Fox is obviously not a good late game unit. You know, really the Badger and the Owl are the best at that. But having the Falcon makes up for it for sure. So both these players are trying to poke at each other's expansions, identify how many farms they've taken. The Gentleman does see Pillow went straight up to 8 farms on his second base, so I'm kind of surprised he hasn't done the same yet. Maybe he's considering a timing attack instead. Well, we'll have to see. And now, here we go. Alright, so Pillow is committed to 2 owls. The Gentleman is committed to 1. We might get some crazy owl war action going on this game. That's exciting. Yeah, Pillow's going to take this third base. I don't expect him to super saturate this. I think he just wants the territory because, man, putting some defense on that high ground would be so brutal. You know, 180 food is pretty rough. Yeah, he sells the turret because he wants to do just that. He wants to get the drum fire. Yeah, and what you want to do is get those turrets up first, and then build a drum fire after if possible. The gentleman coming in for the engagement, and yeah, he did tech switch out of most of his lizards, but those the toads still got pretty good engagements on the rest of the lizards, but gentleman just took that very handedly. Good engagement from the gentleman there for sure. It might have just been the extra money that Pillow has wrapped up. Like he wrapped up 360 food, plus 160, 360 plus 160, 520, plus 60. So Pillow had about 580 food wrapped up in an additional owl, a couple turrets, and a gristmill, which the gentleman just had an army composition. Yeah, that's why I was thinking he didn't want to saturate his second base fully, because he went for a timing attack instead. It kind of overstayed his welcome a little bit. Kind of got, you know, red in the eyes. Really wanted to get that gristmill because that would have been crippling damage, but yeah, you can see that army spike in value that the gentleman waited for, moved out with that, took a favorable engagement, and then you can see where he kind of overstayed his welcome a little bit. So we'll see how this game stabilizes. Now, the real story here is Pillow did manage to get out both his owls during all that chaos. So yeah, chameleons to deal with toads is definitely an answer. I want to figure out a way to get chameleons into my deck, man. I really do, because I feel like they're so strong against toads. I think if I was going to put chameleons in, I'd probably drop my own toads, but I don't know. Nice attack from Pillow 8. Gonna go ahead and just knock that out with the mice, but the counter attack comes out from the gentleman. The gentleman is starving. He's gonna take out this last mining base of Pillow 8. Put him on starving as well. And let's see if he can get this last gristmill. That's gonna be game. Pillow 8 trying to do the same with his mice, but one too many gristmills exist for the gentleman, and he's able to take it out in a base race situation. Yeah, I know, Cyborg, but that's what I was talking about earlier, where it's like, you can't fit everything into a deck, right? So that's why it's just like, oh, if I'm going to put chameleons in, what am I going to get rid of? It'd probably either have to be Ferret or Falcon. If I drop the Falcon, then I don't have late game to my army, and if I drop the Ferret, I mean, most of my strategy with this composition I'm trying to go for is very Ferret involved. I really like poking people, so I don't want to drop that, so hard for me to fit the chameleon in. It probably would be optimal to go squirrel, toad, chameleon, falcon, fox, turret. I don't know, man. I just like having fun with ferrets, dude. I'm one of those guys who likes to micro the crap out of his ferrets, get a ton of value. Alright, guys. This is it. We made it. 3.5 hours show. As an extra special thank you for all the contributions I've got lately. I cannot do this show without you guys, man, so please submit your replays at ToothAndTailTV at gmail.com. And I'm serious, man. Like, when I open that Gmail account and I see just so many replay submissions, man, it really makes my day. So please keep them coming, guys, and let us get into this last game here. Alright, spawning in the 3 o'clock, we've got Chip from Space. And his opponent in the 9 o'clock, Winky Face. Now this is kind of like Chip's coined build, man. Chip's been using this build for a while, and it's a really strong build. You know, if you're having trouble, or I should say deck rather, I'm trying to differentiate builds and decks, because they are different things. Decks are obviously your composition, and then builds are the order that you place things. So trying to make sure keep the RTS vocabulary straight here. I mean, this is going to be a super long game from what I've heard, so I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this is a totally solid build. It's not as popular in the meta as it was. I mean, wolves are still strong, but people just haven't been opting for them as much lately. Really, all the tier 3 right now are pretty good, in my opinion. Owl, badger, fox, boar, wolf. I mean, they all do their job pretty effectively, and what really makes a wolf so strong is when you pair it with a bunch of buffed up falcons. So far so good, man. Both guys just went for a safe, probably around a 5 farm warren opening, went up to 8 farms, and now they want to try to get another warren or 2, most likely. Yeah, Chip trying to claim some territory up here up front and start pushing it out. Interesting to see Chip with turrets. I catch a stream every now and then. I remember like a week or 2 ago he was saying how he didn't like defensive structures, but maybe he's a believer now, or again, maybe it's just part of this specific build or a specific deck composition and strategy. You know, you don't always want to go for turrets, but you know, this style with this deck in particular warrants them. So Winky Face getting a quick skunk ban, which I think is really strong in this meta game. You know, so many people will easily get up to 15, 18, you know, tier 1, and that's really 2 of the most standard builds you can do. Is either, you know, go for, you know, 6, 7, 8 tier 1 warrens, or go for 2 or 3 tier 1 into a tier 2. You know, something like a 8 farm 2 tier 1 warren into a chameleon is really standard, for example. But Winky Face wanting to get the edge on the economy and builds a quick expansion. So Chip looks like he scouted that. He's just going to follow suit with an expansion of his own, and let's see how he deals with this skunk, man. I'd like to see, because I have a lot of problems with skunks. So far, he hasn't been too much into poison gas. Only a couple of units have been, but Winky Face definitely won that trade, man. He took out a lot of infrastructure. You know, he traded effectively. He didn't lose the skunks, and he backed out at the right time. And that's one of the hardest things about Tooth and Tail, man, is knowing when to hold him and knowing when to fold him, dude. You got to back out at the exact right time. You don't want to overextend and lose everything, but you don't want to also be passive when you need to be aggressive and lose out a value that you could have got. And Winky Face is ready for round 2. I wonder if he's going to try to get up on those falcons. Doesn't seem like it. The skunks are being intentionally pushed forward a little bit to try to tank a little and zone, but one does get sniped down by the falcons of Chip that have very fast DPS. So, but here we go, man. Chip going with the tier 3 warren and doesn't really hide it. I mean, I gotta double check. Oh, whoops. Yeah, no. Winky Face is totally aware that Chip has a tier 3 on the way, and really ballsy tier 3, I gotta say, man. You know, taking that after the tier 1 warrens go down, and he builds a couple of turrets to get it out. So that's probably why Chip is running turrets, in my opinion, is to have that option for the fast tier 3. You know? I mean, there's really not a lot Winky Face can do to break this. He's just going to have to get up a large army of his own and hope that he can kind of outnumber and make up for it that way. But coming in at a very good time. The wolf does come out, but it's a little too late. And Winky Face takes a very favorable engagement here. If he manages to kill the wolf, then that would seal the deal for sure, but Chip's got good micro, and he keeps the wolf alive for now. Yeah, maybe lizards are pretty good against skunk. I see in the chat people are talking about like Squizzard doing well against it. It makes sense because lizards are really fast. They can get up on it, and you know, if you micro your squirrels out of the poison gas, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like that might not even be the right move to make because they're going to take so many free hits when they're running away, where lizards will just run so fast and get out of that gas really quickly. So it makes sense. Lizards probably do pretty well against skunks. I think Tier 2 in general does well against skunks. I think chameleons in particular, you know, probably do very, very good against skunks. But the wolf is out for Chip here, man, and both these players are being really careful. I keep forgetting this is like a super long game. We're at this 6-minute mark now, and I like the pace these guys are taking their farms on their second base. As I say that, Winky Face is going hard, but it's about time too. You know, I don't blame him for that. The main bases are mined out at this point, so you got to get that second base economy going. And a good rule of thumb is to always try to stay on about an 8 farm economy. Typically is what you want to go for. They're kind of at a standstill here. I mean, I feel like Chip is playing this correctly, where Winky Face probably should have been more aggressive. I mean, he had a really big window, and Chip's doing the right thing. When you're behind, man, you know, it's up to your opponent to come in and finish you off. If you just chill back, and try to stay alive, it's going to matter less and less as the game goes on, but I do not see how this game is going to continue, man. This seems like pretty crippling damage, but the wolf stays alive somehow, man. It looks like Winky Face overextended and overcommitted to those wolves, and did his commander die? No, the commander's still there, so yeah, you got red in the eyes again, man. You see that happen so often. Like, Winky Face was in such a good spot and just threw it away, really trying to snipe that wolf. But he's still ahead of Chip, you know, pretty significantly. I don't know, Chip's army value is so high, I guess just because of wolf, huh? Worth so much. Turret's coming back out for Chip, and Chip does get back to that 8-farm economy, so yeah, and this map split is really rough for Chip, too. I'm really interested to see how he's going to come back and win this, if he does. I mean, look at this. Like, all these gristmills go to Winky Face. You know, Chip gets, like, this one up here, maybe those campfires if he's lucky. So, looks like he's going to get the third right now. Similar timing out of Winky Face. More and more barbed wire, just making this position even more impossible for Chip. Yeah, there's no real sneak around route either that I can see anyways. Yeah, it looks like that's all blocked off, so this is the only entrance. I mean, this map RNG could not be better for Winky Face here. Look at that, he's basically got one entrance to defend 5 bases, you know. I'm genuinely curious how this is going to work. Now, the economies are kind of staying even. You know, Chip's got a slight lead over his opponent on the economy for now. But he's got to be careful. I mean, he realizes that's his last base, you know. Nice harassment with those Falcons, especially being speed boosted. Just coming in and just getting any little amount of value you can is always ideal. Yeah, but Chip's just chilling, man. Just slowly building up over time, which is the right move to make. Ooh, Winky Face. Oh my god, is he gonna get that gristmill? No, as he moves out, Chip tried to commit in. Forced him to pull back, but one Falcon. Oh man, almost hero Falcon. We are at the 13-minute mark, guys. So Chip's, man, if that third base would have went down, that might have been all she wrote. But now Chip, if you notice, he's kind of positioning his army a little more north, so if those Falcons try to do that shenaniganry again, he can intercept them and punish his opponent. Oh, man. I always gotta, like, stay away from the wolf when casting, because he'll just keep going. Just trying to use the chameleons effectively, you know, to take out this barbed wire, but that's a tall order, man. That is a lot of barbed wire clumped up. Just nice little pokes over time, you know? Trying to be really careful not to lose any units. I do think he lost a chameleon earlier when he went in for that barbed wire, but keeps all his Falcons alive for there. And so far, so good. Just being really patient here is Chip, you know? Not overextending. I would really like to see, I'm surprised Winky Face has not opted to get that Badger, man. I think that Badger would be a really good, way to round out the army. It'd allow Winky Face to start poking, you know, and just little pokes and prods over time. Just poke, 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 you know. Once these things have their speed boosts, I mean, the DPS boost is always great, but really the big thing there is the speed boost. Being able to come in, you know, take out something or two and go back. Ooh, gotta be careful. Very nice. Hasn't lost a single Falcon with any of this harassment. I keep like wanting to be zoomed in on this, but that wolf yelling is just so annoying. Chip has fallen behind in economy, but he's got to be really, he's gonna have to. Like, there's not a lot of getting around that. Well, I guess he's got the campfires to prevent himself from starving. But yeah, this is where I'm getting worried for him, though, man, because bases number 4 and 5 simply do not exist for Chip here. We're approaching the 16-minute mark of this game. The second bases have all been mined out. Third bases are fully saturated. So, I mean, Chip's only got a few more minutes. I mean, yeah, he's not going to starve. You know, he's got a couple campfires that can keep him alive. But he's not going to have an income. You know, he did realize, I got to keep this last starvation farm, so stops that for now, but there's so many falcons out of Winky Face here. So much barbed wire, and Winky Face is playing this correctly, man. Just turtle. Like, it's really, the burden is on Chip here to get something done. Winky Face will live longer and have a better economy. And this is where it's going to get scary, man. As these third bases start mining out, you know, Winky Face has a fourth to keep that economy fresh. You know, Chip isn't going to starve. He can stretch this out for essentially another 10 minutes with that additional farm and that campfire. You know, this campfire, sure, he can maybe take it. It's going to be a little more difficult. But just not starving isn't enough. You know, you got to have an economy, too. But Chip does have a good army composition. Lots of money wrapped up in barbed wire here. What, 440 food, which isn't super terrible. But man, I really wish Winky Face had a badger here, man. Deciding he's got enough falcons, though, moves in, and Chip's army is somewhat out of position here. Loses all of his falcons up front in this engagement. But now the rest of his army is getting in. That's a lot of squirrels that are all being buffed up. A good amount of chameleons to help tank. But overall, you know, it's going to be close. You know, it looks like Chip will win. Winky Face overextended just slightly. But Chip needs a follow-up push really hard. You know, Winky Face has an economy behind this, or at least the potential to continue getting economy, where Chip really doesn't. So Chip losing units is much worse than Winky Face losing units here. But Chip does manage to muscle back another force here. Where's the badger at this whole game, man? We're almost at the 20-minute mark. He never found the opportunity to make a badger, unfortunately. Yeah, I think he also needed to really be taking advantage of this income deficit, too, because, you know, really his economy is basically the same as Chip's at this point. Or he should be railing out an economy that's much superior. Trying to punish these chameleons for poking down his barbed wire. Another engagement happens, but the wolf buff with the chameleons tanking is going to allow Chip to take it very favorably here. And this is where it's going to get rough for Winky Face, man. Now Chip can just freely clean up basically enough barbed wire to carve himself a hole. And this wolf, man, this hero wolf stayed alive all game long. And that's really how you got to use your tier 3, man. You cannot lose them. Even doing a good job tanking a little bit of damage on the wolf, you know, not being too protective with it. You know, taking advantage of how much HP it has. And now Chip doesn't feel too bad. Just taking that gristmill so he can have a forward position where his units heal. Maybe even build a turret if he really wants to. Winky Face has the economy, but he doesn't have any units to back it up, man. Just trying to really rely on this barbed wire, which is not going to work out for him because those chameleon are cleaning up that barbed wire very effectively. And this is it for Chip. He's down to no farms. He's just got one campfire cooking, but Winky Face really doesn't have a whole lot of farms either. He really couldn't quite utilize those 4th and 5th bases as effectively as he probably wanted to here. Now Chip is just taking advantage of the slow bleed. I actually really like this like wolf falcon poke because, you know, giving those falcons a speed buff really allows you to poke with them. Normally it's really dangerous to poke with your falcons because they're so squishy and they can die real easy, but when they're so fast like that, they do that extra damage, you know, it makes it a lot less of a risk to continuously run in there and poke. Winky Face trying to set up this last line, but again, man, these chameleons being very efficient for Chip. Just slowly killing a barbed wire or two everywhere he can. We're approaching the 23-minute mark of this game, and is he gonna get punished here? He does lose a falcon. But Winky Face is gonna need more damage than that. And just trying to hold on. I mean, Chip can stay in this game for quite some time longer. I mean, that campfire's still got about half its food left, but he's got another campfire at about the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position. Yeah, just starting to make this contain. Slowly but surely. I think Chip really showcased the patience here. You know, he's been very patient this whole game. And it's really just been a story of these small pokes and prods he's been making. You know, chipping away a barbed wire here or there with a chameleon, buffing up the falcons and getting them in there and killing a toad, killing a squirrel, backing out, rinse and repeat. Just all game long. But I must say, Winky Face probably over-relied on barbed wire this game. If he would have been able to get a badger out, man, I think he would have had a chance. You know, Chip from Space has had his woof out basically for 20 minutes, you know, and Winky Face never saw the opportunity to get his own tier 3. I love this turret creep, man. Just leapfrogging him up more and more. Chip finally loses a falcon with a little bit of harassment there, but no big deal. He feels like he's in good shape. Just again, man, just all these little pokes and prods all game long, man. It's really punishing. I mean, look how unsmooth the army value graph for Winky Face is, right? Just constantly little dips. Let's see. Finally getting closer and closer. Oh, man. This is clutch. Chip's selling some stuff off just so his army will be able to reinforce after this fight, and finds a hole to get in and attack the Warrens, but trying to be really careful. He doesn't want to attack the Warrens as the engagement goes on and, you know, tank damage for free when he doesn't need to, and just decides, you know what, I've got enough here. I got the wolf buff. I'm good to go. Just absolutely rolls over the army of his opponent and is going to come in here and seal the deal on this 26-minute long game. Phenomenal play. Oh, it's Banner Bastion. Speaking of Banner Bastion, you guys should go to my YouTube channel, which you can access by hitting the, looking under my Twitch profile page and clicking on the YouTube banner. And I just uploaded either today or yesterday, I think yesterday, uploaded the Banner Bastion Festive Face-Off Tournament, which was awesome. Me and AV Ultima casted that, so guys, we did it. Alright, I wanted to say thank you for everybody's awesome participation in ToothAndTailTV by doing an extra long show tonight. We almost went 4 hours, so I am so exhausted, but we got through 20 replays. Several of them were pretty long. So thank you so much for sticking that out with me, guys. I hope you had a blast. Big shout out to Cyborg with his new show coming every Wednesday, or at least when he can. He started it last night. If you guys didn't catch that, make sure to catch the VOD. It's really cool, man. He's doing a show, you know, teaching the basics of RTS and tips and tricks on Tooth and Tail, which is really awesome. Keep sending your replays to me, guys. ToothAndTailTV@gmail.com. If somehow I missed you either today or Tuesday and you've submitted recently, let me know and I will get you on next week's show. We've got the Jet Erickson free-for-all tournament coming up on Saturday, guys, so don't be shy, man. Sign up for that. Let's have a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Jet Erickson will be casting it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be casting it or not. I'd rather see somebody else cast it, you know. That'd be cool to get one of the other guys in there. I don't want to hog all the tournaments, man. I've casted several of the last major ones, so I want to give other people opportunities to cast if they want to. It's a lot of fun. So that's it, man. Yeah, tune in Saturday to Jet Erickson's channel for the free-for-all tournament. Sign up for it, guys. Don't be shy. It's a free-for-all tournament, man, so it's just for fun. Nothing super competitive. We got Josh's tournament coming up later in this month. Strawberry's been talking about doing something again soon, so we got that to look forward to. I'll be back here next Tuesday night, so we should have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday content. Make sure to check out my YouTube channel, guys. A lot of my historical VODs get deleted off Twitch just because I have too much content on here and they delete your past broadcasts. So if you want to see my older shows, if you're hungry for more Tooth and Tail TV content, didn't get enough at the Feast Live, head over to the YouTube channel, check out the VODs. I also have tournaments up there that I've casted as well. So that's it, man. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it, man. I know I keep saying that, but phenomenal viewership, phenomenal participation and submitting replays. So let's keep it up, guys. Don't let me down. Play a bunch of Tooth and Tail this weekend. Send me a whole bunch of more replays for Tuesday's show to ToothAndTailTV at gmail.com. And I think that's going to be it for me, guys. 3.5 hour show. Come on. Come on. Gotta give me a little props for that one. Ugh. Okay. Let's give the old host a Mishi feast. So, if you guys are hungry for some more meta action, watch Mishi, man. He's one of the top players in the game, so he's really friendly too, really cool guy, so check him out. If you have questions in the chat, man, he'll be happy to help you. So let's go say hi to Mishi, and I will see you guys at the latest on next Tuesday. Take care, everybody.